triumphant and the stars eternal. If he was the sweet, terrifying darkness, I was the glittering light that only his shadows could make clear. Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome back to our deep dive of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo!
Welcome back. Yes, so hi. We'll be going through chapters 41 through 47 today. Just those chapters, again, to reiterate to everybody. We just go into these chapters. If you want to do and look at more spoilery things, we have a lot of good ones this season, so I'm promoting it a little bit. A lot of theory ones.
Yes, a lot of spoilery episodes.
Yes, and so again, I want to reiterate to everybody I haven't done this in a little while, so bear with me. We are very explicit. We cuss. We do all that. We talk about the very sexy scenes, though there's not much in this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We talk about the sexual innuendo for sure, especially since we're meeting Helion. But
I was going to say the same thing, especially since we're dealing with Helion.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just dive right into it, shall we?
Sounds good. Let's get it.
So previously on A Court of Wings and Ruin. So yeah, we had a long episode last week. Last week for some viewers, our spoiler episode was before, but we went over chapters 30 through 40. We went through the Ravens attack, found out Elaine was a seer, and she's not crazy. We found out Lucian he's packed up, headed off to the continent.
To do a huge, almost fool's mission in a way.
Yeah, a task that I was like, he's not going to be back until book 5, is he? And then we also dealt with the Battle of Adriata. Tarquin got attacked, and obviously he was a little upset.
Thank goodness for Amren warning them.
Yeah, and so we got a little bit of tension there, but they succeeded. They bought Highburn, and we got a really big scare from the King of Highburn. So we are going into this High Lord meeting with open eyes. We're going to be the inner circle, be ourselves, and let's see if they accept us.
Yeah, take down the mask.
Yeah, so no more masks, no more nothing. We got it. So
completely terrifying.
Start of chapter 41. It's been 2 days since Adriata, and so she's still training with Cassian and Azrael, which I think that it's nice that they still bring up about their training, because that's not just like something that they leave out.
It's nice that it's not just like battle here, war there. There's some sense of normalcy and routine.
Right. And so again, because of like what happened last time, the inner circle needed to kick up the High Lord meeting from 10 days from now till now.
Yep.
So they can't pick a place to meet. There's no Under the Mountain used to be their neutral meeting place. Understandably, that is not safe neutral area anymore.
No, and no one would want to be there anyway because they spent 50 years there.
So obviously nobody wants to go there, and obviously nobody wants to go to the middle either. So I will say, when I reread this, was anybody else concerned that Under the Mountain is just completely sealed off?
Yeah, and the fact that no one else goes in there.
That makes me think, because again, from our first ACOTAR deep dive, I didn't know that they buried Amarantha under the mountain. Is she just, okay, this is total conspiracy theory. Even we don't know this. I'm just being extra. What if something is brewing under there and we don't know about it?
I mean, honestly, yeah, no one would know about it because it's sealed off and no one wants to go back there. So honestly, if we're thinking about those evil peoples of the world, that would be a good place to hide out.
Again, I feel that's a problem for another day, but I just want to let everybody know that I'm hella concerned about that. And I don't necessarily know why. But anyway, back to the actual stuff that's mattering at the moment, is that they're going to the Dawn Court.
Which we haven't really heard of them much or seen them.
Which, oh my god, I was so excited. I was so excited to go to another court. Because I was really happy. But so basically the plan is everybody's going except Nesta and Amren, and obviously Elaine. She's not going. They're going to stay in Valaris while the rest of them go to Dawn. And so Amren, thank God, the queen, she finally found something in the book that will help Nesta with repairing the wall.
Finally. That's good.
So finally, and she also says that Nesta is ready.
For Amber to say that, that's pretty good.
So that's good. Like, so now they actually have to finish this meeting, go to the wall, and fix it.
Mhm.
The plan is set there. Everyone except Spring has sent an invitation that they will go to Dawn. Even Baron, which we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'll admit I did not expect Baron to RSVP.
Yeah, I thought he would just come unannounced. Really for sure. So obviously this is the chapter that they're preparing to go. They didn't really sleep very much. They're dressed up, like, you know, obviously Rhys is dressed up in his preferred black. Azriel and Cassian are in their Illyrian armor, but they got all 7 siphons out, baby. Hot as shit for totally. I wonder if everybody didn't know that they had more than one. I feel like they haven't ever shown that they have more than a certain amount.
Right. I mean, they have the 2 on their hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember. They probably wouldn't have the one on their chest showing. So it probably was just the 2 on their hands.
Maybe that is me making it seem like, oh, we're coming as we are. So we're going to come with our full might.
Right. Because, I mean, anyone who knows anyone like in the Illyrian, they know that one siphon is usually like, oh my god, you have a siphon. So maybe it's a chance like that other people knew that at least Cass and Az had 2 siphons each, 1 on each hand. But for them to like show all 7, I totally agree. That's being like, hey, we are actually pretty fucking powerful.
Oh yeah, and they learn really fast.
Yes, they do.
But I also love how Moore is letting go of her red dress for one of more night courty colors.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how she's called the Princess of a Realm. Like, again, because Cressida and Varian are only princes we know, princess and princess that we know about. So I wonder how the princess and prince thing work, because it's like, could Moore technically be Princess of Valaris? Could Cassian be the Prince of Valaris? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like with Moore, at least, you know, she is technically the daughter of the ruler of the Hewn City, technically, if we can call Kiara a ruler.
Or a dad.
True. Definitely not a dad, but maybe some kind of, at least like a keeper of a city or something. So in that sense, you know, it's kind of like Moana logic of like, you're the daughter of a chief, therefore that makes you a princess. Or like, you're the daughter of a chief and you have an animal sidekick, therefore you are a princess.
Isn't Kier like, oh my god, he has a title. Isn't he like
It is a noble, and he did work for Rhys's father's court.
It's not a duke and it's not a viscount, but he definitely is. Oh, he's a steward. He was a steward. That's what it was. Thank God. I know so much Regency. I feel like I should have known that off the bat, but whatever. So everybody's talking about their fashion, right? And so Feyre, lovingly, she refashioned a version of her Starfall dress. So now that very blue, light, white star color.
Yeah, it's like a silver and black.
Right. And yeah, she's all dressed up to the nines and ooh, girl. It's so funny that Cassian is like speechless at her because he's just like, you look like nice.
That's better than you have clean hair.
Oh my god, yeah. Nothing will compare to
clean.
Yes, nothing will compare to Tamlin's piss poor attempt at flirting. But more like calls him out hella. She's like, over 500 years old and warrior through and through, but talking to females is somehow hard for him. Yes, I brought this up at every moment. He crowned her even under the mountain. He has crowned Feyre this whole time.
Mm-hmm. I need a guy to crown me constantly. Like, sorry. I mean, I don't wear crowns. Obviously, like, you wear more tiaras than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, just the idea behind it. Of, like,
he crowned her at every function, everything. Like, even looking back when Yana reread, you see that every time she danced for him under the mountain, she had a diadem on. When she went to the Human Queen, she had a diadem on. When she went to the Hewn City, like, everywhere she went, she had one. So, oh, it's so cute because he always knew that she was gonna be his queen. In his heart of hearts.
Or he always wanted her to wear a crown because he thought she deserved it, even if
yes, for sure. So they have like a memory. Feyre's looking back on her memory that the night before, Rhys took her to like the special family jewel vault that only Rhys and Feyre and any future kids can get in. Saw that. Read that subtle hint. He's this guy is rich as shit. We knew he was rich as shit, but it's like a huge ass trove. I'm thinking like Aladdin level of just a room full of gold. That's what I'm imagining.
Yeah, I could see that.
I do love how, and I wanted to bring this up, the way it was written was him saying, because it was like the way he said it was like way different than Tamlin's, right? Because before, basically, the difference between him saying that, oh, like any future kids we have can also get in, he wasn't saying that, and this is how my future son will do it, like he did during the tithe.
Right, the whole thing of like, we will do it this way, and so will my son. It's like assuming you have a son.
Yeah, assuming we actually have sex in that way ever again. But I loved the difference between him saying it and Tamlin, because like it's him implying that if we do decide to have kids, then they will be allowed it. It was more of a practical thing of said, not just trying to make it seem like, hey babe, let's have kids. Like it wasn't that. Also so different from Spring in the sense of he's like, these are yours just as they are mine. Melt them, do whatever the hell you want with them, wear them, whatever.
Sell them all while I care.
Yeah, he's like, he's rich as fuck. He doesn't need these.
He's not very materialistic, although he does love to spoil his queen.
Though he did say that there were a couple of things that he'd be like, okay, but babe, maybe let's not get rid of that one.
Which is also good. He has some boundaries, even with his mate, but he's also open to talk about it.
Right. I love what right, a good man, a good male. I love how he says, as if some small part of me had always known that this was where I was meant to be, at his side as his equal, his queen.
So sweet.
Well, yeah, because she was talking about how she was so scared to death. In Spring, that gift of Tamlin's was going to be a crown. Because it's like some inherent part of her knew that she wasn't meant to be his queen, but Rhysand's.
Or that she wasn't able to be a queen in Spring.
For sure. It's just, I love the crown that she chose, because she said that she like let it pull towards the one that she wanted, kind of like how with the ring. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, she's like, all right, come on, magic, show me which one I should do.
So she picks one with various phases of the moon on it and 2 exploding stars on either side. That sounds epic as hell. I'm not gonna lie.
Isn't the crown on like one of your books?
Oh, it is. It's on this one. It's like you can sort of see it.
Right. Just remembering what it is.
But
so hey,
but
listeners, go watch our video. You can see what
It's also on the original cover before they changed them to like the very bright ass colors.
Right.
These are the more subtle with Feyre on them. So I also love, this is like their mantra: the night triumphant and the stars eternal. That's who they are to each other. It's like Rhys is the dark and Feyre is his stars that make him shine.
And like honestly, if we were crazy, we would totally dive deep into that alone. Which we are kind of, and we may actually end up doing. But just like the first thought for me is like the fact that when she calls him Night Triumphant, it's like another way of showing that she doesn't think his darkness is bad.
Yeah.
And when she's Stars Eternal, that means like she's eternally going to be with him, helping like light up his mood, light him.
Because if we're going there, this is my thought. I totally agree with what you're saying. But the dark also complements the light. Even though you are seeing the stars shining, it's the dark background that actually helps them shine.
You can't have light without dark, and you can't have dark without light. Because just having dark skies, while sometimes it's... but if you see the stars shining bright, like it's best on a clear night when it's a dark sky and the stars are shining through, and you can see all of the stars.
It's subtly saying that they both complement each other, but they're also bringing each other out into the... They're both bringing each other out into the light. I love the stupid metaphors like that. That's when I know I'm like, Sarah, we're on the same page. I knew what you meant by that.
And as cliche and typical they may be, they work, actually.
For sure. Though, I will say what happens next was something that I think shocked all of us on a first read. If it didn't, I don't know what kind of psychic you are, but Nesta comes in and she's like, oh, you're leaving. And she's dressed to the nines. She's like in a dark blue gown, no jewelry, because she doesn't need it. She has decided that she's coming with them.
That shocked me, but also excited me. It's like, whoa, she's actually like motivating to do something.
Honestly, I should have seen it coming with all the questions about Adriata. I should have known that she was like subtly being like, you know what? No, I need to do something.
Right. Or like the fact of like, why would you save people when it's not even your court? It's like, well, because they needed help. And then she just doesn't say anything else. She just stares off into the distance. Okay, she's obviously reconsidering.
Honestly, I think Nesta not saying anything for those 3 days actually was the best thing that she could have done, because it's like she was thinking, like she didn't have a retort to say. Dude, Cassian and Nesta haven't seen each other since Adriata, and we can totally feel it, and I am so happy about it. He cannot stop looking at her.
Part of me like wonders though if obviously she's going to tell her story, which is brave as fuck, but part of me, the one deep down that ships Nessian definitely is just like, is she going to like to spend some time with him? To see how he acts around other people because she's curious about him.
Well, I was shocked that Nesta was the one that complimented Feyre. At first, when I read this, I was like, oh, I thought that was Feyre saying it, and then I reread it, and I was, no, that's Nesta saying that she looks beautiful. Wait, what? What?
The progression from first book to third of just like, you're a half wild beast to, wow, you look wonderful.
Oh, and it's like, that, Cassian, was what you were trying to say.
That's how you compliment someone.
I do agree with you as going into chapter 42 where she actually explains it. I think a small part of her is just like, everybody's going off and she sort of feels left out. And now there's a level of, you know what, fuck this, I can go.
She wants to do something.
Yes. She has a motivation, so I guess that's one up she's got on Elaine, so.
Yeah, she won't do anything.
We haven't seen her this whole episode. Yeah, like, we don't see her at all.
Because she's figuring out that she's not crazy, apparently. Anyway, we're not here to rip on her.
I love how she stutters. Nesta stutters at first. And she avoids Cassian's gaze because he looks on with approval. So I love how she says the exact same thing Rhys said under the mountain when Rhys and Feyre met up at the end where they were outside. She said, I don't want to be remembered as a coward.
I don't want to be remembered as the person who sat back and did nothing.
Yeah. And so it's funny because I know Rhys and Nesta don't like each other that much, but they're kind of a lot of the same person.
They're actually pretty similar.
Yeah, for sure. But I agree with what she's saying here. She's like, war used to be some distant thing, but it isn't anymore.
I'm glad she can see that.
Yes, like, war isn't a distant thing. I will help if that means telling these fucking asshole guys about what happened to me. Nesta was empowered by Feyre going off to fight for a court that she didn't even know, or like that they don't even like her. But Nesta wants to fight for the humans because no one else will.
Yeah.
So Rhys just gives her the emissary job.
Yeah. I mean, Feyre's not using it anymore.
Yeah, she's High Lady now, so new emissary to the human lands.
Give her a purpose. That's actually a good idea.
What's so funny is, like, the difference between her getting that role and Nesta getting that role is she's just, I'm gonna pay you through the teeth for my services. It's like, okay. Honestly, this is when I started to approve of Nesta more. Like, I really started to like her after this. This is like
turning things around.
Yeah, for sure. Or I wasn't like full blown. I was like, okay, please don't like shift this on us again. But if you keep going like this, we'll be good.
Yeah, things might actually work out.
But also, yes. Also, when they're looking at each other, Rhys has his wings out, so he's gonna show it to the world who's the largest wingspan is.
Just casually slides his hands into his pocket.
It's still Azriel. I'm sorry.
I'll admit, it got a smile out of Azriel. So he's sure, I'll let you have this for now.
Yeah.
Like, I know who's actually got the biggest wingspan.
Yeah, we all do.
I personally, I love the betting.
Oh, hell yeah.
That they do.
It's
who's going to start a fight first.
Hilarious. They bet how long it'll be, and then they bet who will actually start it.
It's like, can you get double points?
It's like 50 minutes, an hour, 15 minutes.
It's kind of funny that Azriel says started by Autumn.
Technically, like, again, we're not there yet. Technically, he won. But also, Rhys said that they can't provoke them to win the bet. Which I don't think any of them actually do.
No, they got provoked. But we'll get there, obviously.
Yeah, so Azriel goes first to see if the coast is clear, obviously, and then I just love this, how more Cassian and Nesta are standing awkwardly next to each other, and they're about to winnow out, and this conversation that happens between them is like, they're kind of teetering on winnowing out, and she's just like, so you're alive. She's like, you didn't come to, it's like, okay, why is she getting so mad? She's getting mad because
she's just like, you didn't come to, it's like, what, he didn't come to check in on her?
Yeah, because like there has been nothing, like that would be proving that there's something going on here, and she doesn't want it to be like, because why is she mad? In her mind, she'd be just like, but why am I allowed to be mad at this?
Yeah, it's like she stops herself. She's like, wait, am I mad? Why am I mad that he didn't come to see me?
But I love how, especially rereading this, I like totally beat by beat this, because Moore tries to go for Cassian's arm and he like shrugs out of it.
I hadn't noticed that.
And then he takes Nesta's hand, interlacing their fingers, and they're just staring into each other's eyes, and they winnow out. The next time, emissary, I'll come say hello. As a Cassian fan, I'm just like, there is so much sexual energy in that one sentence that I'm just like, oh hell no.
It's why we ship it.
I know. But also, it's so palpable. And an idiot would have to not see it.
It's like, come on, at least tell me they're going to be fuck buddies or something.
Yeah, because then that usually leads to the other thing anyway.
Once they finally figure out there's actually feelings involved.
Yeah.
That's usually how fuck buddies go.
True. Especially in these books, for sure.
Especially in fantasy books.
Mm-hmm.
With one of them killing another.
Oh, there's that too. But so they eventually arrive in dawn. So now we visited summer, spring, night, autumn, and winter technically, but they weren't far in winter at all.
But I'd say so technically this is their sixth court, or this is Favorite's sixth court that she's visiting. She just has to visit the day court now.
Yeah, that's the only place that she hasn't been. The palace is beautiful as hell. It's apparently a mirror of the Moonstone Palace, except this is sunstone.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's dawn, so it's kind of like this Twilight-esque feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just a palace up in the sky. And I'm like, this is, everybody's in awe, my man.
Yeah, holy shit.
It's like, Thiessen, your palace is pretty nice, my man.
This seems like a pretty neutral place. I mean, no one on the ground to sneak up on you.
When also Dawn, they said before, Dawn seemed to be kind of the Switzerland of their courts.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes Dawn.
Dawn is just very new and doesn't get into any fight. And from what we meet of, we learn about Prythian, just kind of by the way he acts, is he's very much now, no need for that.
For sure. So yeah, they're like, oh, there's a spiral staircase. I'm already in.
Makes sense for you.
Yeah. I love the, well, even if Thiessen has a prettier palace, I'm the only one blessed with a high lady at my side.
Feeling jealous there, Reese?
I was like, bro, why is it that we just know the witty reply is coming as always? Because now it's just a trope now that every time they go into a situation that they're a little bit nervous about, he's just automatically going to sex. Oh, by the way, tonight you're only going to be wearing that crown to bed.
Okay, I see you, Reese. You're trying to distract yourself from the nervousness of having no mask and revealing your true self to everyone here.
It's like she knows that now, so obviously it's not a huge thing. But also, please pray for my future husband because I have an array of crowns and I've already had this fantasy. So So pray for him, please. Okay. It'll be good. What am I talking about?
He's gonna love it.
Yeah, so never mind. But anyway, digression. So Helion, Callias, and Thiessen are here. I mean, obviously Thiesen's here. It's his place. But Callias and Helion are here, the High Lords of Day and Winter. Apparently they're the only ones who can come on fucking time.
I mean, Reese is like, oh yeah, we'll be a few minutes late, fashionably late.
Yeah, but they're hours late, the other people. But anyway, I love this so much. He's so nervous because he's he has his wings out. She's I see all of you, Reese.
Mm-hmm.
I love it's not a very romantic response back. He's like, you bow to no one. It's such a good line.
It is.
Baby. Of course, do not bow. Nobody, the High Lords don't bow to each other, so you do not bow. Clear cut, simple.
Yeah.
So yes, they walk into this big chamber. I'm thinking King Arthur level big room of just this big open space.
I guess first instinct was thinking a big open temple, a temple that you would walk in and it's got space to walk around, but then benches on the side is typically what I was thinking, but could have arches or what is that one place in Greece?
Athens?
Some kind of building in Athens.
The Colosseum, the Prythian?
Prythian, I think that one.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I was
I know my Greek, so just...
The one with the Athena statue?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking. But kind of just a big open space like that. But obviously, from the description here, a little bit more decorated and a little bit softer for Dawn.
Right. And it's everybody has chairs that can accommodate wings because new lore element, we now have 3 new races of winged fae that we know of. Mm-hmm. So there's the Illyrians, there's the Seraphim, which are Draken's legion, and the Peregrines, that's how you pronounce it. They're apparently relatives of the Seraphim. They're bird wings.
So feathered.
Yeah.
And those are Thiessen's warriors.
I kind of hate though how Reese's first reaction is Amarantha once made a dress out of the feathers, and I was like, oh shit.
Awful. That's fucking awful.
Oh my god.
Some kind of Cruella de Vil esque stuff.
Oh, for sure. So, as we see, Thiessen has a warrior lover who is a peregrine. So, another gay couple for Liesl to fangirl over.
Captain of the guard.
Which, hot. That's not, yeah, good for him, man.
I mean, I feel like that in itself is a popular trope of a royal and a guard.
That's so sweet, though, because he's protecting him, and it's a very... So, Reese actually tells her that they might be mates, but Thiessen didn't want to acknowledge it when Amarantha reigned, which brings up a good question. Can you suppress a mating bond?
I mean, it seems like for a little bit, Reese and Feyre were kind of able to do that, mostly on Reese's end. In that first scene with Hybern and Akomath, the end of it, until they were like close together, that was only when people really noticed it.
Yeah.
I mean, if Thesan was under the mountain for those 50 years in the rest of Amarantha's reign, then maybe like it was just a case of he just distanced himself from his captain.
Yeah. And maybe he was protecting the city. I mean, kind of like a Vivian and Callias scenario, but again, we'll get to them. But sort of in that vein. I will say, Feyre has her priorities set. First thing I thought of too was the reflection pool. It's a huge fucking reflection pool in the middle of the room, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. This is, I mean, obviously the High Lord scene in general is something that I want to see visually, but I really want to see this set of how somebody would depict this.
Yeah, kind of makes me want to draw it out.
Well, you can. Lisa's a good artist, so I am not a good drawer.
Maybe I'll start making like fan arts of rooms and stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I have so many other talents, and that's not one of them, and it will never be one of them.
Practice.
So
I'm not great. I'm like, sometimes good.
Yes, but moving on. Yes, I think something about the High Lords that I wanted to talk about is I love how they all seem like different races. Because obviously Darkwind is dark-skinned, and it seems like Prythian is some sort of Asian heritage, is like what I'm picking up. And obviously there's like the dark-skinned Illyrians as well. So there's kind of a lot of representation here that you wouldn't normally think of having.
And Helian's pretty dark-skinned as well.
Yes. So, it's very, he reminds me so much of like a Latin or Italian lover. I can't...
Honestly, though, it kind of makes sense, though. Like, it was only in a couple of, like, the later rereads of it that I started realizing of, like, actually, that does make sense for Summer and Day to have dark-skinned people. Just because that's how it is in the real world. People in hotter places typically have the darker skin. And then our ancestors who migrated north got paler.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone started off in black, so.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, though, that the two hotter cores would have that.
I just think it's cool to also see representation as well.
Yeah.
In a small way. We love a protective lover. Like, as soon as they walk up and Thesan walks up, his lover is, we actually don't get his name, which kind of makes me sad. Yeah, like, he's like on high alert though, not gonna lie.
Hand immediately goes to his sword and he like steps forward.
Holy shit. Okay. Maybe it's just me, but I really love like the politicking of everybody bowing behind Feyre, but Feyre not, and them slowly realizing that she is High Lady without it being said.
Right. I'm like, why are you not? Oh, interesting.
Because like then he looks at the ring, he looks at the tattoo, and it's like, oh, and
it's the tattoo. Even though it's a night court tattoo, they can tell what it is.
I think it's also because the tattoo was on the wrong hand, which meant that it was different than the bargain one from before that they all knew about. Yeah, but like Thesan's waiting for her to bow to him, and she's like, no.
Like, it's so nice to meet you.
Hey, babe. I also love how like Callias comes up and he's dressed for winter, like he's in fucking rabbit furs, like fur lined. It's like, bruh.
They've gotta have. I mean, he does have ice powers, so he could be cooling himself from the inside.
He does, or maybe he just doesn't have a hot or cold meter.
Yeah, or he's just cold constantly.
Yeah, maybe. Again, it was one of those things where it's like, again, none of these guys communicate, so none of them know about her. So like now they're learning just a bunch of shit this time.
I mean, that and the fact that they're like being their actual selves as well as like, okay, this is a bit of an information overload here.
Right, and I love this. Vivian is my new favorite side character, and she wasn't even supposed to be meant to be like some like big role, but I loved this.
She just squeals.
Yeah, more runs for a woman in winter garb, and they grab each other and reunite, and they're squealing while the High Lords are kind of looking at each other like, ugh, women.
Wives.
So Vivian is Callias's wife and his mate. So now we're seeing, yes, we're seeing another mated pair. I said successfully mated. Poor Lucian. Vivian and Moore are dear friends. They haven't seen each other since Under the Mountain, which makes sense. I love how normal it is. They're like at this very awkward moment with each other, but then like these women are kind of breaking the tension.
It's just like, girlfriends haven't seen each other in a while.
Honestly, the women dominate this whole meeting. I'll just say that right off the bat.
Very clearly.
It's like, it seems like the women are actually running the courts. I'm not gonna lie, like as Moore introduces Vivian, fuck the men, right? Like, we don't need to introduce each other. Honestly, I love Callius. I know, like, at first, like, I feel like there was so much build up to having tension with him, but he is just so funny.
He has, like, this, how would I say it? I don't know, Azrael level, like, quiet, kind of funny.
He's got a dry humor about him that's, like, he's not joking, but it comes across as joking. Because when he says genuinely, I have yet to decide if I find it insulting, he's not saying that in a joking way. He's saying that, like, because he actually means it. Right.
It's very of, like, he's so serious that everyone is like, it's impossible for him to be this serious, right?
He's also good, he's just got good timing, I think, with his quips. Also, him and Vivian seem to be the most inner circle here in terms of how they talk to each other. Yeah. Because, like, Vivian's 6 foot.
I was going to say very respectfully most of the time, but then also able to easily tease each other without fear of judgment.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I mean, as soon as Baron comes in, like, his wife is nothing more than just sitting next to him while Vivian's here very much in the conversation and saying shit to him. Thank you for returning my mate to me. Moore's like, married and mates? It's like, Reese is like, you do realize that this is a serious meeting.
It's like, well, not everyone is here. We can still talk.
Yeah, it's like, dude, we weren't going to start yet. Also, I mean, did Feyre just forget about the rift, the something? Because, like, something seemed to cause a rift between night and wind. Yeah, what are you missing? It literally happened when you were here.
You literally, like, heard about it.
You weeped over those dozen children getting killed by Daemati hands, and I want to know. I mean, obviously he talks about it later, but at first, when I first read this, I was like, I want to know what actually happened.
Because Reese doesn't seem like the kind to do that.
But again, she makes it seem like, there had been tension with Winter. Yeah.
So Feyre still has an ignorant side.
I guess good keeping up with character.
I mean, she is only 20, so that's fine.
Yeah, we gotta give her that. I will say, when I read this the first time, didn't even think about it. As she's describing as Helion is walking up, why is she remembering her dad? It's very interesting that as soon as he walks up, she's remembering all this lapis lazuli, the spices that her father traded with this old territory that used to be Fae occupied. But obviously he was trading with humans. It seems like it was like more deserty. That, on a reread, that's kind of suspicious.
Yeah, like, why is her father all of a sudden run?
And why with Helion specific? Like, again, I think it's just because, like, he has so many jewels on. I feel like that's the base level, but we finally meet Helion Spellcleaver. The guy we've been mentioning all these times, but we haven't ever really... Apparently he's a good ally, but he's being a fucking prick.
The guy who made Feyre glow.
Right, well...
her power, sorry.
Yeah, not... Well... He could make her glow, I think, but I
probably wouldn't mind.
As we learn later, for sure.
The guy that she got her power from that allows her to glow for Reese.
I love how you realized that before I could even say anything. I just made a face and was like, I mean, yes, but I knew what you actually were trying to say, but yes. Helion seems very cold and rough, and she is, like, not expecting that because she's thinking, like, High Lord of Day, he's gonna be a very sunny dude. And he's not. I think he's the one out of everybody in this meeting who just says the shit out loud that nobody wants to say.
He's very blunt, for sure.
Yeah, because he's like, I always liked you, Rhysand. Because he says that in response to, does he know that she's your mate and High Lady? Tamlin, as they're talking about Tamlin. It's like, okay, pouring cold water over a fun situation, why don't you? I just have, like, Vivian and Mora on the side, and she's like, High Lady? We can do that? Like...
It's like, okay, as soon as she and Callie are alone, they're gonna have a talk.
It's like, oh shit, that's gonna cause a car argument.
Right. On the winnowing back home.
It's like, why can't I be High Lady?
It's like, well, here, you could, but, like, that's a lot, you know?
Though I will say, Helion, he's playing with fire. He looks at them and then looks at Nesta and just recognizing game. He's, like, looking her over, and Cassian is not moving an inch, but I'm sitting there knowing he's thinking,
It's like, interesting. I don't want to try that.
I do appreciate how Feyre gets her away from, because that's exactly what Nesta was afraid of, that she would be stared at and ogled by them. So she, like, saves her, and she's the one who tells. She's like, you know, it's like, oh, they're Fae. Yeah, they're my sisters. They got thrown in the cauldron by Hybern, and that Ianthe and Tamlin sold out Prythian. Just to let you guys know.
It's just like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh, and by the way, it was after this damned high priestess and Tamlin, by the way, sold out Prythian, your home, and my family, so... It's almost like half tattling, but like on the side. I don't know.
I just hate how they like make it seem like, especially Helion here. Like, again, we like him later, obviously, but there's he's like, that's a heavy accusation to make, especially of your former lover. It's like, is that all I was?
Just a former lover.
Just Tamlin's former lover. It's like, it's not an accusation, bitch. We're gonna do something about it.
Well, it is an accusation, but it's true.
I just love the comedic timing of having, like, again, this is Sarah being a good writer of just like having these comedic moments where like something happens and then just at the end she's like, well, can I, like Vivian's like, can I be High Lady?
But just like muttering to him quietly while jabbing him in the ribs and just, why can't I be High Lady as well?
It's like, oh, that's kind of cute.
It's like, well, you can't.
Honestly, another good mating pair that I think is really well. So obviously, while the other fuckers are late as hell, we learn about Vivian and Callius' story, which is so great. I kind of like how we get their backstory here. So Callius was best friends with Vivian when they were kids, and he always wanted to protect her, always had feelings for her. He was definitely the boy next door, and he kept her hidden from Amarantha, very much similar to how Rhys did for the Inner Circle.
Especially very similar in the, like, flinging out the remnants of his power to explain.
Power was taken away. He sent a last thought to her, telling her that he loved her and to protect his court. So, for those 50 years, Vivian was running the court. Obviously, I think she deserves to be High Lady.
Honestly, yeah.
And she also was, because again, remember, there were rebellions. Winter was still rebelling, and so Vivian still had a force that was trying to get to him under the mountain. And I love her, because I feel like this would be her reaction, though. The one time that he says, I love you, it's when she can't say anything to him back. She's just like, you fucking asshole, you better survive, because you cannot just say that and then me not be able to say anything in return.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean you love me? Like, hello, you there?
Oh my god. So, like, of course, when Under the Mountain ended, he went exactly right to her. He proposed, she kisses him, he proposes, and they marry that night, which is so cute.
So sweet.
And then they found out they were mates during sex, which is how we have figured out it normally goes.
I appreciate that as well. Like, they married first before they found out they were mates. It's like, oh, hey, we're mates. That's cool. We're already married.
Like, we didn't need to be, because I feel like in the end, there are instances like Tamlin's parents and Rhysand's parents, there was a level of, they found out they were mates beforehand and then just tied the knot because. It's like how in real life, some people, if they have a kid, they're just like, well, I guess we have to be married now. It's like, that's not necessarily how it works. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I want to marry somebody because I'm in love with, not because of like a circumstance.
And if you happen to be mates later, perfect.
Yeah, but that's just like my view on marriage. Like, other people have their different views that are totally fine on marriage, but that's my personal view on like how that would want for me to be. So obviously, as the story comes to an end, Tarquin eventually shows up, thank God. I love Helion. Just, even as a dick, he's funny. Of just him being like, heard about the blood rubies, now that's a story I want to hear.
Like, there's a part of me that was surprised that Tarquin, but I was so happy about it. I'm like, honestly, them helping with Adriata might have been like the final thing.
I don't Adriata happened, they wouldn't have.
Right, because I think they were still on the fence about that.
Yeah, for sure. I love the reminder as they walk in that like Cassian like destroyed that one building, and it's like, I really want to know.
We still don't know the story behind that.
I really want to know if Varian caught him. Like, and that's why there's like this little vendetta against each other. Because Adriata is Varian's city, so it would make sense.
That's true. Although it does make me think back to Akamath when they visited Summer the first time, and Faye was just like, or was it maybe Rhys? No, they're just like, yeah, I think if Varian hung out with Azriel and Cassian, then they would become fast friends.
They would. They
just have to get over the building destruction that we still don't really know about.
And Varian is like looking for Amryn, but she's not there.
Quick theory. What if they were hanging out and Cassian destroyed Varian's house?
That could be. Or maybe Cassian stole his woman at some point.
Also, like...
Which, I mean, to be fair, it's Cassian. I'm sorry, Varian, but at least it's... You are, if you're with Amryn, I feel like she'll be the most loyal bitch ever because she does not balk at Cassian. She's right. What a kid. What a child.
It's like, been there, done that. But, like, honestly, that would also make sense considering that obviously, we can see there's some tension, some wonderful tension between Varian and Amryn. So we think that Varian likes a powerful woman.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe if he was with a less powerful woman than Amryn, it would make sense that the woman might go elsewhere.
Yeah, but Amryn is steadfast, so. But anyway.
But yeah, it is sweet that he's looking for her and she's not there.
So they walk in, and then Baron's close behind. He arrives with all his sons and the lady in tow. Amazing. Great.
The one lady who doesn't have much power in the room.
That we don't know her name. She's literally just reduced to the Lady of Autumn, which somehow is insulting. So yeah, as we know from later, obviously a moment passes between her looking the Lady of Autumn and Ahelian, which I could never have guessed in my wildest dreams that was even going to be a thing, but we'll get to that later. We have to remember the Lady of Autumn saved Feyre's life once under the mountain. Like, let's not forget that she also is just kind of a victim of this marriage.
Clearly. Like, I bet, honestly, just as, like you said, like, the women kind of rule the courts. From what we've seen, the women are pretty powerful. So I bet she is powerful. She's just been diminished by Baron.
Well, and she also has a very powerful bloodline, too, that they keep mentioning. And Baron is the oldest out of all of them, but we don't care about elders here. Just letting you know.
Let's not respect this elder.
Yeah. He's like the worst. Here we go. It's starting.
Finally, the meeting's starting. We're still missing a High Lord, probably for the best.
As soon as Baron sits down, Rhys is digging at Perrin about, like, it's so surprised that you were tardy, given that your own sons were too slow to catch my mate. It's like, oh, fuck. I thought you weren't going to start a fight.
Yeah, Rhys, you said that no provoking.
Hey, I don't think that was intentional.
Out of anyone to start provoking Autumn.
Well, I also have to remind myself, Rhysand wasn't there when that all went down. So, like, he's been wanting to face Baron about this since that moment.
Yeah, because both he and Baron were not there.
Yeah. There's so much drama in one room, like, and we know most of it, and it's just very funny that we know. I feel like I would have gone into this being, like, less excited, but, like, the fact that we do know a lot just makes me more excited. It's like, ooh, I know.
Like, where's the cereal? All this tea is about to be spilled.
For sure. I love how all of them are like, yeah, why are we meeting? And then Rhys is like, did you guys just not see that Summer was just attacked? Did you all just, like, not see that?
Clearly. I mean, obviously, because none of them came to aid.
It's like, what the fuck? And before anybody can say anything, guess who barges in?
Thunderstrike and everything.
Thunderstrike, way too dramatic for my taste. Tamlin just barges in.
Completely alone.
Yeah. Everybody has an entourage. I think Helian's the one with the biggest entourage. I think they said.
Or roughly the size of theirs, of the inner circle.
So there's a lot, and yeah, he comes alone. And what's rough is the same way he did the night he came to take her away. So her and Nesta are just recoiling a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, great, let's barge in the door. Woohoo. An impression.
This is supposed to be no magic, man. I mean, again, quickly, that divulges very quickly, but just, he started it.
He did start it, yes.
I like how everyone is just quiet and still. Like, even though they might not really like Rhysand, there's a level of, I feel like they're more scared of Tamlin at the moment than they are Rhys. Because Rhys hasn't come in any, like, scary fashion. He's being very diplomatic, which is normally not something he does.
Like, he didn't really even have a dramatic entrance. He just walked in with his family. Which now Tamlin has the dramatic entrance and he's alone and, you know, everyone's on edge because it's like, well, he was with Hybern though. He let Hybern into his border, so do we trust him?
Which is so interesting because they were going to go in with a mask and it wasn't until Feyre said, honestly, Feyre saved them, I think, and telling them to go as themselves because I feel like they would have had the same reaction to him as they did to Tamlin if they went in like
probably.
It was sad to see her scared, but it was a little interesting to see her that nervous of him.
Yeah, it's like that's how you know it was toxic.
Well, yeah, because she hasn't seen him this mad since he like broke the study, and also the second time he broke the study. I mean,
and then also the one time that he blew up the dining room too.
Yeah, but he's also hyper focused on her. He is not looking at anybody else. Like he sees tattoo, crown, ring, and it's like, oh shit.
3 things that he couldn't give her.
Yeah, he did give her a ring, but she melted it.
And he did try and give her a tiny little tiara once.
Yeah, but stinky. Even Baron calls him out, though, which is so wild to me. Like, I think that they were nervous that, like, they would believe Tamlin, when in actuality, they're not really believing him that well.
I mean, they don't entirely trust Rhys either, but there's at least more forward of, like, not trusting Tam.
The eeriness of, it seems like congratulations are in order. I'm like,
this is gonna go badly.
Yeah, good God. Though what's funny about that is Rhys is not, he's about to not say anything. He's like, no, I'm not going to talk in front of the enemy. I love how she says this description of when he's looking at her. She said that she'd never been looked at with so much hatred, even Amarantha, because Amarantha didn't actually know her. Well, Tamlin actually, he claims to have known her, but knew her.
Tamlin shared a bed with her. That's a difference between Amarantha and Tamlin.
It's like, we finally get to like the scorned exes part of the episode where it's like, yeah, we kind of all feel that, don't we?
A little bit. I will say, like, about you hopping back real quick to when you said she was scared and nervous, like, it does make me wonder if, because, like, when she left, obviously after destroying the spring court, pretty much, setting it to go to ruin, she did hear him roar in the distance. And while this probably has no correlation, personally for me, it makes me think back to earlier in the first book when he saved her from the Naga and he came roaring in and she was trembling. You know, obviously from the fear of the Naga, but then also like the fear of this is a giant beast tearing into other scary beasts. But I feel like, I don't know, personally for me, that feels like something, even if small, like something that had effects.
Oh no, for sure.
Roar like that, and then now he's basically using that same attitude of like roar, basically.
This is rough. This is very rough to get through. And I loved reading it the first time, but every time there's a level, sometimes I have to stop and be like, okay.
Also, Tamlin just makes me cringe.
Oh, hella. Oh my god. Because again, we'll get to his statement, okay? Obviously, everyone still is death, and I hate the fact that the claw sliding out is something that we've always seen Tamlin do. But it's like an ew factor this time, because Feyre's like remembering that claw used to be on her body at some point.
Yeah, she used to love having that on her body.
And he knows that. And so there's a gross factor to it where it's like, he's trying to spin this in his favor. When in actuality, he made a shitty bargain. So basically, he's trying to tell all the High Lords that Rhysand stole his wife away, and a very drastic measure to get her back because he's in love. The sun was shining when I left.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, he makes me cringe so bad. All for a petty grudge, either for her own or her master's. Excuse me? Oh my god, this made me so fucking mad. And I think it makes everybody mad. So when you fuck her, have you ever noticed that little noise she makes right before she climaxes? Oh like, my god.
Wow. That is so cringe though.
That's hella cringe. I brought this up. If you want to go back, we talked about this in our very first season in a spoiler episode. I said how this line is so wild because he knows he's in a room full of powerful men who already are questioning her authority. Even when she walked in, Prythian was still wanting her to bow to him. Again, Prythian's like a little easier than the other guys, but they're in a room with powerful men, and he's trying to bring her down as just the woman that I fucked.
And the woman that ran away to go get fucked by a different High Lord.
I hate that he's trying to diminish her as this one thing.
It's so condescending.
And it's like, yeah, this is totally something you could say to somebody you love. Okay, sure.
Or it seems like Feyre has more power than you, Tamlin, so it's okay to be jealous.
Also, he's trying to make it seem like Feyre is just rising power, because when he finds out that she's a high lady, because Asriel says it, he says, be careful of how you speak to my high lady. Babe.
Protective.
You once asked me if you'd be my high lady, and when I said no, perhaps I underestimated you. Why serve in my court when you could rule in his? Yeah, because that's exactly what happened.
Also, I feel like the statement just before that of it was not enough to sit at my side, was it? No, not when literally sitting at your side was me sitting lower than you in basically a plastic chair compared to your giant-ass carved oak throne, while you had a giant crown while I have this tiny little tiara, and then I don't get a say in matters. So no, it was not enough for me to sit by your side because you didn't let me do any.
We won't ever forgive the wooden chair. That is something as us women we cannot fucking get over.
Also, that would so not be comfortable for women's hips.
Well, especially us, like us plus size ladies. You're already, fuck you for putting us in that. Also, he's trying to blame Rhys and Feyre and say that they want to be high king and queen of the land, which, okay.
Is that really the case, or are you just projecting?
Well, first off, if that was the case, there wouldn't be any conversation here. He already
too powerful. Honestly, I think they're the two most powerful in the room.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, there wouldn't be a conversation. So, let's just get that out of the way first. But yeah, so, Tamlin's monologuing, and he's like, well, first of all, he's defending Ianthe? Okay, your first biggest mistake here.
She took my high priestess.
Okay, you guys deserve each other.
And warped her mind. Her mind was already warped.
She proved her ambition, and you saw how he was more than happy to serve Amarantha to remain unscathed. Well played, Tamlin, you're learning. Ooh, I love how, I hate this. I hate how he looks to Callias and is like, how could you sit next to and listen to the guy who killed all those children?
Damn, you're really playing the enemy here, Tamlin.
And it's like, bro, you don't even know what happened. Rhysand is saying he had no involvement in killing those children, which obviously he did not. I love how Vivian's the one to say something, though. She said, we're going to decide that for ourselves. Whether or not we want to work with Rhysand. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to calm down because Tamlin is pissing me off.
I understand. Just the awkwardness of Callias being like, well, yeah, tell the parents of those children that you tried to save them. Bruh. Okay. Also, Baron needs to stop with the side commentary. Like, he just needs to shut the fuck up. He is not in this conversation right now. Also, okay, Baron, I swear to God, okay, like, I mean, Tamlin and Baron both piss us off, but what's so funny about this is Baron could not give a shit about humans, but somehow he is so focused on Feyre giving up her Claire's name in exchange for her own. It was some pre-death that she was just like, that I know that I'm sending this girl to death. Why does he care? Why does he care about Claire?
Because he likes drama.
He's just like, you don't care about humans at all. Why do you care about this one human who got tortured?
I mean, he probably enjoyed it, honestly.
Yeah, so fuck off, Baron. Like, I don't know why you're even here. So basically what happened was he convinced Amarantha not to kill Callias after Winter rebelled. And so when he convinced her, apparently Baron said, I can't believe a cock could be that persuasive, which, shut the fuck up. I swear to God. He just elevated this to happen. She went behind Rhysand's back and confined her to the bedroom because seeing Rhysand defend Callias, she sent a Daemati to make it look like Rhys killed those children when actually he was stuck. Because again, if we remember Amarantha, like she held their powers, so she could technically ward them and confine them in some way. Also, Cassian being like proof about to fucking beat the shit out of Tamlin, and he's like, no. Also, Tamlin would not stand a chance, okay? That would be a swift death.
Very.
So whatever Callias saw in Rhys's eyes, like, he turns it right up around on Tamlin, gives him the old ring around. He's like, so why are you here then, Tamlin? Because they see Rhys's genuine reaction. So they're, honestly, again, props to Feyre for making them be themselves here, because this actually saved them, I think. So basically, Tamlin's whole thing is that he has numbers, movements, like caches of Faebane numbers. Like, he's basically saying that he played along until a certain point, which, to be fair, that is what it seems. Okay, obviously he shouldn't have made the deal in the first place. I feel like there was a level of, he was overconfident in himself about getting around this deal somehow, because when he made that deal, obviously he doesn't like Hybern. He's made that very, I didn't for once think that he was like pro Hybern. I think he thought the lesser of two evils, but somehow like very much chose wrong.
Right. I mean, because obviously we remember he did not speak well about his father and how his father sided with Hybern and slavery and all that. So it's like, okay, that did seem genuine, so I will give credit for that. I mean, I hate how he's acting currently in this meeting, and I hate what he did to Feyre. Might have been slightly delusioned to think that he would be able to get out of the bargain once he freed Feyre.
Yeah, because that was what got them in that bargain mess in the first place, was they couldn't get out of the last one. So why did you think making another one would...
Right.
But anyway, so here's where he gets shitty. I mean, he's been shitty this whole time, but yet you witness all that he did under the mountain and still spread your legs for him. He whored for Amarantha for decades. Why shouldn't you be his whore in return? Ooh, bitch. That is not how this is going to go. We are not going to continue this.
Part of me was just like, okay, if I were Feyre, yeah, I'd be embarrassed to high hill, like, by the stuff that he's saying and cringing. But the moment you come after my mate, fuck that.
Oh, you are literally playing with all...
Exactly. Attack me all you want, but leave my mate away from this. Leave my family out.
Which I guess I appreciate Helion in that way. You're beginning to become tedious, Tamlin. Take your lover's spat elsewhere and let the rest of us discuss the war.
Good job, Helion. Because he has become tedious. He's a broken record. He keeps repeating the same things.
It's almost like he's saying, like, let the grown men talk.
The adults are talking now. Go away.
It's like, oh god. Also, I didn't miss the side comment that said that, like, Helion got good loot from the war. Which, I mean, Helion was talking about how, like, war is lucrative to get shit, and I'm like, I guess so. You're also deflecting. He's also deflecting, bringing up other shit just so that they take the heat off him for a second. So yeah, he has like pile of papers that Helion is like checking throughout. I mean, even Helion's like, how can we trust this information? I love how what did he say? Who is to say that Rhysand and his cronies are not agents of Hybern? So I kind of dig how the High Lords are grilling Tamlin now, because Helion's just like, yeah, how can we trust anything that this is? Well, also he's still
on paper.
He's still trying to blame the Night Court, which is so funny because I think it's Thesian. Yeah, if we need to ally against Hybern, you are doing a great job of convincing us not to band together, Tamlin. Good catch, Thesian.
Yeah,
I thought the exact same thing.
Neutral and smart.
Obviously, every point that Tamlin makes, there's like a rebuttal, because he brings up about, well, how did the Night Court know that Adriata was going to get attacked? And thank God, Varian, why did you not speak speak up earlier, bitch. We could have used you like 5 chapters ago, dude.
Thank goodness that he was here, definitely, like, at the meeting to say something.
Oh, yeah, if he wasn't, as they probably would have thought the same thing. It's like Tarquin is hearing this for the first time, and I'm like, what the hell?
Tarquin's shocked of, like, you did what? You called in people who have blood rubies in our kingdom? You called them in to help us?
Because he knew they would come. Him and Amryn must have been sending messages to each other. Like, they must have been sending letters, or they, like, had a really, like, a moment in Adriana. They had to have.
And I think I've said it before, maybe not. I feel like they've been, like, meeting up like, somewhere. Maybe a neutral ground somewhere. They've just met up and probably have flourished together.
Well, and then I love how Tamlin then comes for Varian all of a sudden. He's, well, you are second in line. Maybe you're working with them. It's like, bro, you have gone off the rails.
Just previously, the fact that Nesta's just like, you can't be serious.
Yeah, she's like, totally.
Like, this is the first time she's seeing how Tamlin is interacting, really.
I feel like Nesta thinking to herself, yeah, you chose poorly the first time.
It's like, yeah, good thing you didn't stick with that one. I see now why you left. Like, she's an outsider looking at it, she's like, he is delusional.
Yeah. Everything's a massive conspiracy. It's like, no, it isn't. Like,
or if you want someone to blame for all this, perhaps you should look in the mirror.
Ooh, burn. Ooh, but then, okay. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to say, halfway through this section, I'm laughing my fucking ass off. Like, doing these notes, I was laughing so hard last night. I think, like, my mom texted me and was just like, you all right? Like, I was laughing so hard because I was just, the hypocrisy and the shit that happens in these chapters is so hilarious to me. Mm-hmm. But the fact that as soon as Tamlin spits at her, like, Tamlin snarls and then Cassian full-on snarls back, watch it. Mm-hmm. Seems like other preferences run in the Archer family. If only he knew that was so true.
Right.
Again, fuck him for saying it, but he's kind of right in the fact that, yes.
Since Nessian seems to be something, and then also Elaine paying attention to Azriel.
She's also, but can you blame them?
No.
They are the most prettiest, most beautiful, most strong. Okay, sorry.
For a minute, I thought you were talking about the girls.
No, I was talking about the boys.
Like,
sorry.
oh, wait. Yeah, the prettiest boys.
About to go in like a long ass tangent about them. Anyway,
we can do that later.
Then Feyre starts to spit at him. What do you want? Why would I want spoiled goods returned to me? The moment you let him fuck you, like a word stop. Good fucking, just good. Good Rhysand. Good Rhysand. Mm-hmm. He's about to say more, and Rhys silences him by taking away his ability to speak. Yes, and.
Mm-hmm. Just a casual comment of, he just relaxes like with this kind of fake amusement, saying the gasping fish look is a good look for you, Tamlin. It's like, okay, so he's pissed.
Oh, for sure. Well, see, also, like, so again, let's remind everybody that they have magic over them. Like, they have, like, a neutrality magic that is supposed to stop things from, like, this happening. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Doesn't work on him.
Nope. Reminds everyone of his power. The whole end of this chapter, like the last few sentences of it, just, I very much enjoyed the way it was written, of just like how the others who were bored and amused and disdainful, and then all of a sudden they're fearful. Specifically, as it says, now possessed a shadow of fear in their eyes as they realized who and what exactly sat amongst them. Mm-hmm. And they forgot it sometimes deep that well of power went, what manner of power Rhys bore. But they remembered.
It's like they remember today. They remember today.
Tamlin, who was a high, as powerful as any of them, sometimes, as he just completely lost the ability to speak, even with the magic field or whatever over them, preventing them from fighting.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that Rhys is the one to say, dude, we wouldn't even be having this meeting. I could literally go into all your minds right now and do this for me. Mm-hmm. Like, he legit says that.
I do appreciate, I mean, obviously Baron's an ass for, like, scoffing about that, as if, like, huh, you couldn't do that to me. But I do appreciate, I mean, now that we know about Eris, like, I feel like, personally, I'm starting to see Eris in a slightly different light. Of, you know, earlier when Baron was making comments about, you know, being whore or slutty or whatever, Eris is just, like, warning him, father, don't. And now, he's mostly just focused on protecting his mother. Not his father, not his High Lord, but his mother, his his dear, sweet, quiet mother.
He's a mama's boy because obviously she's getting abused hella. I mean, that's implied throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love how Tarquin's the one to speak up because he hasn't spoken up this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He's like
been observing.
He's like, despite Varian not doing an unsanctioned warning, because even if they were warned, nobody else came to help even afterwards. Like, the fight raged for a long time. Somebody could have done something.
I do appreciate that Varian didn't look sorry about it.
And yet you ask for nothing in return. Why? Isn't that what friends do?
A subtle, quiet offer because Rhys still wants to be friends with Tarquin.
Tarquin rescinds the blood rubies and there is no debt between them. Aww.
I love Cassian's just muttering, though. Amren is not going to return that jewel.
Just, by the way, she loves hers. And then Varian's kind of like, yeah, that's my girl. Like, I feel like that's what he's thinking in his mind.
God, ever the good male, even though he's putting aside his personal qualms against Tamlin. It's just like, I believe you will fight for Prythian. It's like, okay, if Rhys is a really bad guy, he wouldn't have done that.
Because, to be fair, Tamlin doesn't seem to... I think he actually did want to fight for Prythian. He just made a bad devil's deal that he thought he could fix, and that didn't happen.
It just went around, like, it just went the wrong way. It went wrong, period.
He put all his chips on the blackjack table, and he lost. Chips on a blackjack table?
Wait. No, that's not right.
I don't know how gambling works.
The spinning one with the ball and black versus red. I know which one you're talking about, but that is not blackjack. I'm actually pretty good at jack if I do say so myself.
Yeah, because isn't the roulette? It's like roulette, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's more like a gamble than actually about actual playing and skill.
And no strategy. It's literally luck.
Yeah.
Well, so some people may say there's strategy, but for us, there's no strategy.
He just bet wrong. But Helion and Callias are not convinced of Tamlin's his allegiance. I love how he's the better male. Hot. Also, Baron doesn't really seem inclined to believe him either. Yeah. So they bring up Lucian. I was not expecting him to bring up Lucian, considering how I think Baron thinks about his youngest son. His errant son. His errant. Also, Eris did two things here. Like, everything goes from 10 to 100 real fast. Mm-hmm. Eris, first of all, makes a pass at Elaine and says, ooh, I wish she was here. And then... Morris, you certainly like to hear yourself talk, Eris. Good thing to know some things don't change over the centuries. Good thing to know that after 500 years, you still dress like a slut. I will say, for Eris, obviously not a good thing to say, especially since, what proceeds to happen, Azriel. Eris just attacked two women that Azriel's kind of interested in. His two women that he's interested in, the only two. And then, on top of that, I feel like Eris is doing a really good job of pretending he is still that prick. I mean, he is still a prick, but pretending he has no idea what's going on in the Night Court. So he's doing a really good job of showing the rest of them that he is not involved with the Night Court. Like, he's totally playing this up in front of his father for sure, because he doesn't want to show his allegiance. Although Azrael's attack is totally real. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to him at all. He is just seeing blanket red. He is such a badass. Like, not only is Rhys able to break this magical neutral barrier, but Az is too. He's legit choking the life out of Eris, and Cassian, all he can say is shit. Although I do appreciate that Cassian is like, shit, that this is not going well. He jumps up, but Azrael blocks him out. Rhys is just casually like, enough, but like not doing anything. Yeah, so like Liesl said, Rhys is trying to say enough, Azrael, enough, but he's not listening. And so this is an opportunity for Feyre to come in, and badass does she. So she elegantly walks down. She comes up and presses a hand to his shield, and when she says, come, Azrael, he immediately stops. I mean, they don't pull off, his hands don't pull off completely, but like they loosen enough for Eris to breathe again. Also, to be fair, all of this is kind of deserved, but this doesn't help them. She's kind of a little afraid of what she sees in his eyes. The frozen rage. Also, Moore is legit shaking in her chair, which I will say, when I first read this, I didn't understand why. He was trying to protect you, bitch. Why are you scared? Now I understand she's scared of about his feelings for her. Whatever. Yeah. We'll get to that later. She's like, oh shit, he's willing to act on his feelings. Because maybe this is the first time he has.
Mm-hmm. Like, maybe he's just watched her from afar. And obviously she used Cassian as a buffer, but if Cassian can't reach Azriel, then...
Mm-hmm. So basically, Feyre says, hey, come sit with me. So some poor attendant guy pulls up a chair next to Feyre's chair.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits down in it, and she pours him like a drink. And
I am curious, though, sorry, going back a little bit, where it says that Azriel looked back at Eris and then whispered something to Eris that made him blanch.
I think that was him saying apologize to her.
Probably. But also, it like first time reading it, it was very like, oh, I wonder what secrets they're sharing.
Also, it's funny as shit that Helion was also placing bets
Mm-hmm.
on who would fight first.
Yeah.
But Feyre, I love this. That's twice now we handed you your ass. I think you'd be sick of the humiliation. They are my family. I don't care if we're allies in this war. If you insult my friend again, I won't stop him the next time. Ooh. There's also a double meaning there because she's really talking to Eris. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't care if we made a deal with you.
Yeah, specifically allies in this war.
Mm-hmm.
More than most of them know.
He's such like a little bitch though. He's like, apologies, Morgan.
And his father, fucking Baron, was shocked that his son would apologize. What the fuck?
Well, his mom's just sitting there, good boy.
It's like, good, that's how I raised you.
I don't think you raised them at all.
That's true. Thiessen, finally, he's just like, this does not bode well.
He's like, by the way, so basically, I mean, it's kind of Helion who takes charge here. I kind of appreciate that. He's like, okay, we got two things that we need. We need to deal with the Faebane, and we need to deal with the attack. So first of all, they deal with Faebane. So actually, Thiessen, he has a surprise of his own up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mention this, but this was kind of at the top of, I think it was like chapter 42 when they arrived at Dawn. The Dawn Court is known for its tinkering, and Nuwan, the woman that comes up, is the tinkerer that actually gave Lucian his eye.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of badass that she has like a metal hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bitch, you go.
She's a cyborg.
Oh yeah. So Thiessen has a potential cure for the Hybern Faebane attack, which that would be great.
I would, yes.
Now, I didn't get this on a first read, but because Nuwan is just a side character, but again, as I've told Liesl a numerous amount of times, if we get somebody's name, there's a level of importance that is going to be with that character. I just don't know it yet. So I didn't catch this on a first read, but she says that Nuwan looks like Amren.
Yeah, I didn't catch that actually.
She looks like Amren just without the silver eyes. And that maybe Nuwan's family or wherever she's descended from is where Amren got her body from.
Maybe.
Because Nuwan also, because also Amren is of some sort of Asian heritage, as well as like these guys. So it's interesting. It seems like everybody in the Dawn Court is from this off-Fae territory. It's called Xian. And so they're actually from like a foreign court, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So they almost seem to be like the immigrants, technically, of these, if we have like a modern day example to give them.
And of course, Baron fucking hates foreigners, I guess.
Well, he's also white and old. Like, that tracks.
He's the classic, like, old white male who is, like, anyone who's not an old white male.
Like, go back to where you came from, but she's like, I was born and raised in Prythian, sir. Just because I have heritage from another place doesn't mean that, like, I wasn't born here.
Right.
God, that hit
like
too hard.
A Korean American of just like, where are you from? It's like, oh, America. It's like, no, where are you from? Well, okay, I was born in New York. It's like, no, but like, where are your people from? Like that whole thing.
So basically what happened was she got samples from the attack on Valaris to make an antidote, which Cassian is, where the hell did you get that from?
Right.
So our good Foxboy Lucian has been sending her files in secret, which is why Lucian wanted to go out in the city by himself, because he wanted to go get them for her.
And he said he didn't tell because he didn't want to raise hopes.
Which, I mean, honestly, good on him for doing something like more than expected. I appreciate
and using
it.
his contact as a previous emissary.
Well, it's also to help them all. Like, this will help them to hinder. Seems like Lucian can still play the fox. I appreciate how, because remember, the reason that the Faebane is something that's not of Prythian origin is because it comes from the heart of Hybern, like from the soil and shit. So I love how she appreciates how we have the antidote over here. We just need to use the resources in a way. So basically, what Nuwan made is something that they can ingest so that if they tried to get blown in the face with, or ingested food, drink, whatever, then they won't be affected affected by the Faebane. Now, if they get stabbed or something, she can't really help with that.
Right.
She's kind of praying that it will work.
I do agree with you about what you previously said about if a character gets a name. They're like it makes me think that they're gonna come back in some way.
Well, maybe like Amren's name or something. Maybe like it was Nuon or something, like, or something in that way. That the name had some sort of meaning. I don't know. Maybe she took over Nuon's sister's body. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
could you imagine? That would be wild.
That would be.
So, but anyway, I mean, that's not canon. I'm just saying that it could be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the stuff is new, so it makes sense. Like, she doesn't have every available... Of course, she wouldn't be coming to them if she didn't think that it was going to work. So, of course, Baron is saying, not only because she's a woman and a foreigner, this matches real life so much, it's crazy. So, Xi'an was a territory that fought for the Loyalists. So, they fought for Highburn back in the last war.
On the map anywhere.
No, which means obviously it's somewhere else on the continent. We just don't know. But I love how Prythian's mom also hails from there too. So what is he complaining about?
Like, I'll have to remind you clearly that my mother also came from Xi'an.
It's like, please.
That's the whole thing of like, okay, you can pick a fight with me, but don't you talk about my mother that way.
Oh yeah. He also says, watch your tone, girl. She doesn't have to watch anything. Not when you fling that horseshit at her.
Eris scolds him again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you literally, he does this throughout the whole thing. So basically, Baron's stubborn. He says that nobody in his territory is going to use it, which, good fucking riddance to you, then you won't have to.
Woo, Eris.
We appreciate a woman who stands up for herself, though. Nuon's like this really, she's just a random tinkerer, like, she's standing up for herself against a bunch of high fae males, so I appreciate her.
She's like, I would not be sharing this if I had no proof that it would work.
Right, and even Eris, like you said, he's like, he stands up for her and says, I'll take it.
They were shocked.
But Baron's like, no, you won't. It's like, okay, but whatever. Playing this back and forth game, it's getting old. I love how Tamlin just takes an opportunity to just dig and just, well, yeah, I mean, at least you guys have armies.
Like, stop being bitter for yourself. Stop brooding.
You did this to yourself. Yeah, did Feyre kind of help that accelerate the timeline? For sure. Also, Baron needs to take a step back, bitch. He is, again, he says the Helion, Rhysand, and Baron were alive during the last war. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before Baron goes into, like, his old, like, oh, we were the only ones who fought, we're the only ones who know. Shut up.
First of all, shut up.
Before he goes into that, basically, they're saying that the spring court needs to be evacuated. And Baron does not want to take anybody. While says Tarquin is like, I'll take people. I love how Baron throws at Vivian. He's like, wives were invited as a courtesy, not as consultants. Fuck you. So then Baron goes into his whole story, right? Like, a young pretty thing like you specifically. Apparently, a lot of the women in the war camps were, I'm gonna be guessing, were raped.
Most likely.
And apparently we find out that the Autumn Lady had two sisters, which
was not expecting that.
I will say is that a little bit foreboding that there was like three of them. And three sisters. I'm not liking the resemblance.
The fact that before he even brings up the two sisters, he puts his hand on his wife's too thin arm. Like,
it's so gross. Again, that goes back to like how we said that the Lady of Autumn was Feyre's foil in a way. Like if she stayed with Tamlin, that's probably who she would have been, basically. So apparently the lady's sisters saved her from the Highburn camp.
Bought her time, told her to run.
And which we get a lot of that more when Helion tells us the story later, so we'll get to that, but he's basically like, does no one remember the attack on Valaris? Because Baron's saying, oh, us freaking, what is it, the seasonal courts are going to take all the brunt of this, while you guys up north and the solar courts are just going to be fine. Valaris got attacked twice.
First. They got attacked first in this war, and then Adriata happened.
Oh my god, he, like, so dumb. So dumb. So basically, Tarquin is going to help evacuate the whole spring court into his territory, since Baron won't do jack, which, fine, I guess. But, so then Nesta, the queen. Woohoo, baby! The queen sold us out for the gift of immortality, so you will find no allies in the human lands. The fate of the humans below the wall is none of our concern, especially in this bit of land with no queen, no army. So apparently if they had a queen or an army, they would actually mean something to him. It is my concern. The voice that came out was not Feyre the Huntress or Feyre the Cursebreaker, but Feyre the High Lady.
I do appreciate that she's like, while she's not calling herself a human, she is saying our kind as part of Fae. She still looks out for what she used to be.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. So this is the start of the downfall of what is about to occur. Baron is making all of our blood boil at this part, and specifically with Feyre, because she calls him a coward for not wanting to help the humans, and then he's like, well, you were a coward when you let Claire die, and it's like, bitch, why are you bringing her up all the time? I really don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and although I will say, I was slightly surprised when, after she called him a coward, that Reese tensed. I was just like, oh shit.
I don't think anyone has had the balls to say that. Easy, he's a cranky old bastard. Your staggering generosity aside, will you be joining our forces? I have not yet decided. What is so hard about this that he can't fucking understand?
And Eris is just like, you're considering? Wait, what? You're not gonna help?
Ooh, this is the downfall. So, Cassian speaks up. He's like, armies take time to raise, bro. You don't have time. He says, I don't take orders from bastard of lesser Fae whores. Do not come for the fam. Did you just hiss?
Kind of. I was just like...
He just hissed on camera.
Because Cassian is mad in his own right, obviously. But then, of course, his brothers, the icy rage on Azriel and Rhesus, and the disgust on Moors. And Nesta even speaks up of, that bastard, and, defends him. That bastard may be the only person standing in the way of Hybrid's forces and your people. Maybe. Everyone's defending him.
But he stared at her as if he'd never seen her before. I think when it comes down to it, Nesta's one of those people that, anybody outside of the circle would say that. That'd be one of those, oh, you fucking... No, we're not doing this. The whole hiss thing. That's totally it. But what sends her, Feyre, over the edge is him. Oh my god. He said, and now Rhysand wants to play hero. Amarantha's whore becomes Hybern's destroyer. But if it goes badly, will he get on his knees for Hybern or just spread his time? Legit stops. Enough is enough. You go, Feyre. She snapped at hearing his words. Fire she throws a fireball straight at him like a lamp.
It's honestly, at this point, she doesn't care about hiding her powers anymore. She's gonna defend her mate and her family and her court.
The fact that she used fire against him, too. The audacity to hit him with his own fire.
Accidentally singeing the arm of Lucian's mother, but that part I feel bad about. Totally deserved it.
And Eris. Eris and the lady both get burned, but we only care about the lady. This was fucking hilarious as shit. Baron has his shields up, and she tries to trap Baron in, this water. She takes the water from the reflection pool.
And just makes a bubble around, or not even a bubble, just literally a sphere of water around him drowning.
And then she uses Helian's power to break through his wards to choke him. Oh my god. So she used
Baron's flame couldn't do anything against it. 3
powers just in one use. So they're all the one thing that they said that they wouldn't expose has been exposed.
Reese is just like, Feyre, you proved your point, my love.
I love this. I love you. The words of that hateful bastard doesn't mean anything. He has nothing of joy in his life, nothing good. We do. I love you. You are so thank God that he was there, because they would have been dead. We love Reese so much. Also, damn, they're all scared now. Everyone's on their feet.
Guards are on the ready. Entourage is preparing to protect their high lords.
So now they understand where that little kernel of power went. Yeah, we were trying to avoid this. But apparently Helian says that there always felt like there was something missing, but it was so small, so minute. I made her High Lady because I love her. Her power was the last thing I considered. That's so sweet, because that's implying that even if she didn't have this almighty power, he would still make her his equal.
And we knew that even before, even when he saw her human hands.
Yeah. Aww. They're so relationship goals.
They are. They're so sweet.
So obviously Baron is, again, Lucian warned us. Baron is far from upset. He's upset.
Yeah, because he got beat his ass.
Well, and also, I feel really bad when she tries to apologize to the Autumn Lady, because then he's like, don't you talk to her, you human filth. And then Reese disintegrates Baron's chair, and he falls on his ass. His pride is wounded so badly.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? He's saying he's gonna yeet out of there. He's legit about to yeet out of there. He's like, I'll let Hybern deal with you or whatever. And then Nesta coming in, the queen, in all her glory, to stop these men dead in their tracks.
This meeting is not over.
She owns them all.
And for
with
her
this.
to even for Baron even to pause at her tone.
Really, for real. She's like, you may hate us. I don't care. Like, why do you refuse to fight Hybern now when you fought them back then? You know how bad they are. So basically the highlights of her speech are like, Hybern's coming. They'll make an example of us. When she went into the cauldron, she saw the king's heart and what he wants to do, which is not something she's really said ever to them. And she's like, you know, I'm really sorry for those loss of those killed children, but more children have died in the human lands and they die all the time. Ooh, and she says, if it weren't for my sister, I would be one of them.
Aww.
Aww. So she's basically doing her emissary duty, and she's, you know, for too long have you guys just sat by while we haven't thrived. The past is the past. We need to fucking come together or we're doomed. I mean, I love Nesta at this point. Like, even though she's been a bitch a lot, I think when she's really needed, she comes through.
Yeah, because she does feel a lot, and she does think a lot. And while sometimes in public settings or social settings, they do not come across, like, she does care. So, and she's good at putting speeches together, similar to Feyre. So that's something else that runs in Archeron blood.
She might not have come through when they were younger, but she's coming through now, and that's what matters.
And she understands what happened when they were younger as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we should be happy that Baron is even considering and listening to her, but then they legit just vanish. So, good riddance, I guess.
Good. We didn't need him anyway. I mean,
I love
we probably did, but if he was just going to cause chaos, then we didn't.
I love how Thesian's the one that's like, well, short of killing her, and then Rhys is like shaking the fucking mountain. He's like, there's nothing we can do. Which is true, because even then, would that even, that's just a theory. Like, even if they did kill her, maybe that power just wipes away. Maybe it doesn't go back to them. That's, you don't know.
Right.
So, whatever. So, Feyre takes a step from Nesta's book and says, hey, bitches, I didn't take your power. You gave it to me. Like, I'm grateful for both, but I'm gonna do with them what I will.
Right. They're mine now.
I don't think I brought this up, but I think I missed it, but I appreciate Tarquin saying he was the one to speak up and say, you saved us under the mountain. I think giving you a little bit of our power is worth it. Him, of all people, saying that is why.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. But with the, her saying, like, that the powers are hers now, it does remind me of something that I learned as a kid, of just, like, once you give something away, you can't take it back. The sense of, like, if you give a present, you can't ask for it back unless they literally choose to give it. Also in the sense of, like, words, of once you say something, you usually can't take it back.
Right, very true.
So I kind of, like, think of that whenever it's like, I'm grateful that you gave it to me, but it's mine now.
Well, and she also says, like, your priorities are way out of whack if you think that that's, like, the thing that we should be worrying about at the current moment. Though, I appreciate hella women power. Vivian and Cressida are the ones to stand up first and say, we're ready to fight with you.
Women!
Like I said earlier, it's the women who run these courts anyway. Like, you know what? We didn't really like Cressida at first, but she's alright.
It is kind of funny, though. It's like, both of them look to their males, to Tarquin and Callias, and then the males rose.
Yeah, they all stand up. It's like, 6 out of 7, not bad, Cursebreaker. Who would have thought the 6 out of the 7 would include Tamlin?
Right, yeah. I suppose that's better than 5 out of 7 and have Tamlin not. Sorry, just them all standing up together just after agreeing. It reminds me of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie where they all stand up together. It's like after Quill's like speech and he's just like, come on, we gotta fight together. And then everyone stands up. Rocket is just like, great, now we're all standing. Bunch of idiots.
It is so true. Yeah, it is. It's a mirror for sure. So I love how so this is the last chapter. I love how it begins with, the alliance did not begin well. So it seems like nobody's really comfortable with Tamlin being there, so nobody's really forthcoming about their armies and numbers and shit. So Tamlin's led out first, so actually Thesian is saying that they can spend the night, which everybody seems to do. So everybody else then is escorted out, and only Callias and the Night Court are still there. And I love Vivian, dude. She's like,
she's sweet.
He had it coming. Eris is a piece of shit. Callias turned to his mate with high brows. What? He is.
It's like, what? Have you not heard her cuss? You've probably heard her cuss before.
Yeah.
But what, is she not being ladylike right now?
I think it's more he knows that Baron is gonna actually have to debate with himself about if he's gonna help him or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have, I mean, each of the courts have a force, but it seems like the Night Court just dominates.
Mm-hmm.
Which it dominates in every aspect, but also numbers. I love this. So Vivian's like, I always knew we'd fight along side by side, but then Moore looks to Callias, and Callias and her share a moment of, I promise I'll protect her.
Mm-hmm.
Aww. That is so sweet.
Friends protecting friends.
And I think, in a way, is it kind of funny that Amryn was kind of the bonding moment for Summer to bond with Night again, while Moore was the one that helped get back Winter? Mm-hmm. Look, these women creating, bridges.
I know, so wonderful.
So it's good. So the Inner Circle gets sent to their, suite with multiple rooms. I always think these are cool, by the way. Like, a living room with just, a bunch of rooms in that said room.
Right, so a main quarters for everyone, and then everyone has their own bedroom.
Yeah, it totally gives me a Fantasy Academy level of common area. Now things are a little bit awkward between Moore and Asriel, and at first, again, I really never understood why. I was like, if a guy protected me like that would be hella hot. I don't know why she is so afraid of this, but right. Cassian is being a good buffer as always. Unfortunately. So I love how Feyre and Rhys are talking to each other in their mind, and she's like, yeah, none of them knew how much we have an advantage over everybody else. And he's like, yeah. I love how Rhys is saying that Baron wished he killed Rhys at the cradle. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, man.
But I feel like even Rhys in the cradle would have beat Baron.
Like a teenage Baron.
Imagine a teenage Baron trying to attack a child in a crib who totally whoops his ass with darkness.
It'd be like the whole Voldemort Harry thing where the baby was just sitting there and...
Yeah.
But Baron knows about Elaine, which is pretty bad news. I mean, I wouldn't lie about that.
Yeah.
He would get at Elaine just to spite Lucian, which I never really understood until this chapter. Why?
Or now to even just spite Feyre as well for having his power.
Yes. Rhysand fully believes that Tamlin is on their side, and I agree. I never thought once that he was going to turn their back on him. I always thought he was playing double agent, but never in a smart way. He's just been playing this dangerous game, and he's been losing this whole entire time. Can I tell you how weird it is that Moore is Cassian is just sitting on the couch rubbing Moore's feet? I get friends. Okay, I love you, Liesl. There'd be no fucking way I'd be touching your feet.
I second that.
I don't care how close I am with somebody. Feet are for marriage. There's no way I'm touching no feet.
So it's just Moore is really setting up a physical buffer here.
It's such an intimate.
Really care if they fuck. They fucked that one time hundreds of years ago. That I don't know. It just seems weird. That seems like something only a current couple should do.
It's intimate.
Yes,
and so it's confusing because they're sitting there what is happening here? I have a conspiracy that Nesta saw that and immediately was upset and went to her room and just locked the door. I can guarantee it. Because, dude, Nesta is such a prude. There's no way she'd see that and just, ew, well, he's touching her feet. They must like each other.
It is interesting how it is written specifically of Cassian now rubbing Moore's feet directly into Nesta retiring to her room.
Yeah, so she didn't stick around.
That'd be interesting.
So, Feyre is about to go check on Nesta, but guess who comes to the door? Guess who comes a knocking?
Helion.
Good old, buddy. Hey, babe. Okay, so thank God he's done playing his prick role. Now we meet the very sunny male.
I do agree. He comes in with all this swagger. Just the whole. I have this one highlighted, maybe just because it makes me laugh every time. Of just that he finds my males to be prettier than yours. Thanks.
Yeah, because he's like, why'd you guys get the nice room?
It's a wing fetish.
Honestly, I mean, Thesian, we were legit about to say the same thing. Also, we do too. So, don't bring it up.
Would make sense that Thesian would have a wing fetish if his lover has wings.
Oh, hell yeah. But also wings, Italian kiss. That's...
Well, would you prefer feathered wings or bat wings?
Bat. 100%. Bat wings to the goal line. Helion, I'm just gonna say, bows to Feyre as soon as he walks in. And not just gives her a courtesy bow. It's a full-blown half bow. The power by enters the fray. He is
the chaotic, powerful bi.
He is the most powerful bisexual in this whole story, and I really appreciate him. Apparently, Helion has been hounding after Cassian, Azriel, and more to share his bed collectively for 400 years now.
Well,
honestly,
he certainly likes interesting foursomes, I guess.
Oh, sure. I reacted exactly like they were the first time I said, why have they not said yes?
Right, it is a wonder.
I also love how, like, Rhys laughs out loud because it was just so outrageous when she said that in his mind. And would you like someone to join us in bed, Feyre, darling? I think you'd like two males worshiping you. Good God. So, I think my threesome would be... Okay, if you had to pick a threesome between, like, any of the guys in Prythian, which would you choose? This is important stuff, okay?
Any of the guys?
Oh, well, for you, it'd be both. Sorry, I was saying that, but I was saying my straight ass. I'm sorry.
I would pick two Illyrians.
Okay.
Because I agree with you about bat wings.
So I feel like I would. Okay, so this is hard.
Since we're exposing, I mean, we already know I'm an Azriel girl. Yeah. So Azriel.
Honestly, I think I'd love a good Cassian and Helion. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd be okay with that.
Well, Helion might want to bring in someone else as well.
Well,
he
also,
seems to like more orgy.
Helion would let Cassian lead because he knows Cassian would want to lead. And then, anyway, I literally
Helion would also bottom to Cassian.
Yeah, I also like totally looked off in the distance, like I'm thinking about this right now. So we need to move on because I'm gonna get like lost in that fantasy. I just was curious, but does that mean we're gonna potentially see a threesome later? I fucking hope so. So again, they go back to the boring shit about. Well, sorry.
Boring shit.
At first, Moore says like that the rest of them are like stewing in their sense while they're like, she's like, say it out loud.
She's like, whatever you're saying, mind either share it or go to another room.
Okay. So obviously, Helion is telling them more about his forces, than he said earlier.
Right.
So basically, they're going to trek down through the courts to finally get to where the fighting is thickest. So they're going to like group up at every court. So I really appreciate this. Lore alert. Helion goes into this really long story about the Lady of Autumn, which, because Moore asked, the reason it's prompted is because Moore says, well, Baron chose to listen to reason. He played games in the war and it cost him dearly. So basically, Baron left out a few details about that sister story. He scattered his family out across his court to different places because he wanted to keep the bloodline safe, bitch. So her sisters were protecting her and they were butchered and tortured by Hybrid, but they gave her time to run because they loved her fiercely. Not because she was the not high lady, but because she was the lady of the court or because she was, Baron's, because they loved her sister. Again, I don't know about you. I think you and me are kind of on the same boat about this. I really want to see a prequel of the war. I really do. Yeah. I think that would be so fun.
If it like combined like all of the stories that we've heard so far and like in more detail, but then also probably added like more stories in between. And it could be the case of like changing perspective, kind of like they did at the end of Akmath, where they had Rhys's perspective there. That would be super cool. It doesn't even have to be a full like prequel. It could just be a grouping of short stories.
Yeah, I think she could totally do that. That would be good. So basically the Lady of Autumn ran and she was swarmed by beasts. And guess who comes and saves the day? Not her husband, Helion.
Yeah, because why would her husband save her?
I love how Feyre is the one to figure this shit out. Because when Helion talks about saving her, he said that I tore the beast apart with my bare hands. Feyre's question is why? Because remember, when Rhys ripped apart the ravens, he could have killed them without getting his hands dirty. He was protecting her because he was in love with her. Helion loves the Lady of Autumn. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's very clear, even if he doesn't directly say it.
So apparently Moore heard a rumor that, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Apparently Moore, the Lady of Autumn, was married to Baron or promised to him at 20 years old.
Wow.
They've been married for a long ass time. That is too long.
Yeah.
That is way too long for me.
I mean, she was 20, yeah, but like how old was Baron at the time?
Yeah, That's not said. Moore heard a rumor once that the lady was waiting to say yes to the marriage because she was waiting for a handsome stranger she met once at an equinox ball.
A certain someone.
Oh dear Lord, the plot thickens. I thought he was going to be coy about it, but he's like, no, we had an affair off and on for decades. And I'm like, okay. So she was sleeping with Helion. So until Baron found out, she was happy. And obviously they are implying that he hits her because there's like bruises where they can't see.
Right.
So the fucked up part about this is that some people kind of have their own opinions on this, but like Feyre gets mad at Helion because he said, why did you not try to save her? Why did you not try to fight for her? And he says that she chose to stay. Now, he's trying to say that unlike Feyre's situation, it doesn't always end up good for the people who are in love. Yeah, which is kind of sad, like, in their aspect. But I think, in the grand scheme, she wanted to protect Lucian. So that's why she stayed. And he's no longer there anymore, so can she get out now, maybe?
Maybe.
So Feyre Rubik's Cubes this in under 30 seconds of saying, oh shit.
I do like how Reese is just like, whatever you just figured out, you better stop looking shocked by it. Just while they're like casually talking, in her mind, she's just like, Helion is Lucian's father. A beat of silence from Reese, and then, holy burning hell.
How did nobody put two and two together?
Right, and even for Reese to be shocked by that?
I don't know if Helion and him have ever actually truly met. Maybe they've seen each other in passing, but like not met. It would also explain why Lady Autumn loves Lucian the best, because he was actually the product of love instead of marriage. It makes sense why Eris never has been threatened by Lucian, because he's not really a son of Autumn. It also makes sense about why Baron detests him so much, because he knows that he's not his.
Probably discovered the affair during her pregnancy.
But he can never prove it. But he obviously has threatened the Autumn Lady for sure.
Yeah. Which
that means, by the transitive property, Lucian could be the High Lord of Day and Helion's sole heir. It makes sense of why Lucian still has firepower, though, because Lucian's mom has strong lineage, which is why they married in the first place. Sorry, they're having like this full-blown talk, and then all of a sudden Nesta just barges in, and Helion is so intrigued by her, and he bows to her. And he's about to say...
His whole interaction, he's just like, he did the bow, right? But then I don't think we were introduced properly earlier. I
don't care.
She's like, I don't care.
She legit says that I don't care to a fucking High Lord of Prythian.
A beautiful High Lord male.
Which is so funny, because that totally makes me think that, like, I think he was so genuinely shocked that he looks to see her as a challenge.
Yeah, I know. Part of me is like, because Cassian is the one who's like trying not to laugh at the surprise and talk on Helion's face. Like, Cassian's just like, I don't think you actually want to fight with her. You don't want to dance with her.
So something is wrong. We need to leave right now. So Feyre takes Nesta into a side room. She says something feels wrong. Honestly, Feyre is kind of dumb for dismissing this at first, because obviously Nesta wouldn't be saying this if she didn't feel something bad.
And we gotta remember, she did come out of the cauldron. So even if Elaine is technically the seer, there's no saying that Nesta couldn't feel something coming.
They've also gone this whole time, and she's never had a feeling like this. That means something big is happening. Like, she's like, I'm not like the others. We need to leave. So Cassian walks in. Oh, our baby. He comes in to save the day. He's like, what precisely feels wrong? It feels like there's this dread, the sense that I forgot something that I can't remember. Immediately, no questions asked. He's like, I'll go tell Reese.
I think it's interesting how, like talking about parallels here, back when Elaine was saying that she was seeing all these things, and then Azriel stepped forward and seemed to be the only one listening, whereas everyone else kind of dismissed her. Like, it specifically says here, Feyre was like waiting for the dismissal, but Cassian just tilted his head as like, interesting, I'll go check.
Yeah, so he sends them out. The boys fly around the palace. Reese checks in with Amryn. Valara seems to be okay. There legit seems to be nothing wrong.
Right.
But, so of course they're concerned about it, but but they're just leaving it. Because, I mean, what else are they gonna... It's kind of cute, so the rest of the night, Callias and Vivian come to eat with them, which is very cute. I'm like, oh,
cute little party.
Moore and Helion are eye-banging each other from across the table.
I will say, when everyone was checking, I don't doubt that Moore and Helion were on alert. However, they were left alone.
What a fucking... Okay, I'm gonna say this. Why? Just why? So they hear, like, obviously, as they, Feyre and Rhysand go to bed, they hear Moore and Helion close their door. Like, Helion didn't go back to his room. Why do this to him? Why? I remember reading this the first time. I was like, why, babe? Why are you doing this to him? To Azriel? To me, my first thought, she doesn't actually like him like that. And she's just afraid to say it to him. So she's trying to fuck someone else so that he can... It's like almost having the opposite effect. Because, like, in his eyes, he's seeing himself as not worthy.
Right. It makes me think she got scared of seeing how much he feels for her by his earlier attack on Eris. So she's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to distract myself from that, from dealing with that. I'm going to avoid that. And Helion's looking mighty fine right now, and he seems interested. Let's go that way, rather than dealing with the... I feel like Moore wouldn't call him a mess necessarily, but the whole mess that Azriel is related to his feelings for her.
Yeah. Well, and also Helion is looking for someone else to screw too, because he's trying not to think about the Lady of Autumn.
That's true.
So they're like a perfect powder keg. Where do you think that Azriel and Cassian went off to? I really want to know. I don't actually know where they went.
Yeah, sure.
I wonder if they went off to go just train and fight with each other.
Maybe, and talk things out, because I feel like Cassian, out of anyone, would be able to get through to Azriel. But I also feel like Azriel might have gone somewhere to clear his head, maybe fly around. Whereas Cassian, I feel like I don't know, he did, like, when they were humans, he would just be, like, sitting on the roof or something, like, keeping guard around Nesta's room. Either that or, like, investigating, seeing... Honestly, actually, both of them could be investigating what this bad feeling is, even though they already spent 30 minutes doing it. Because it could be the case of, like, Azriel needed to fly somewhere and needed to clear his head, and then Cassian's like, hey, you want to distract yourself with work? Help me reach out.
Right. So, again, like, we don't know where they went, but, I mean, I agree with you. I don't really have, like, a specific thought, so I agree with everything you're saying. So as Rhysand and Feyre are talking about this, again, like Liesl said, he's saying that Moore got spooked. The violence and result of what he feels, lingering guilt. Yeah, taking Helion to bed seems like the worst possible thing to do. I kind of appreciate Rhys just being like, it's their relationship, it's their life, it's not really like I can say anything. But then, of course, Feyre is just a busybody gossip, and so she's like, but Azriel loves her. He thinks she's happier without him. He thinks he's unworthy of her. No.
Well, I think the first part is true. She does seem to be happier without him in that sense. I mean, probably because they haven't really talked about that. But in terms of the unworthy, honestly, this is a moment where I get protective of my boy, and I think that Moore is unworthy of him.
For sure. I totally agree with that. She is being kind of two-faced about this, if that's what I have to say.
She's very push and pull with him, always keeping him at arm's length for good and bad.
How can you claim to be so familial with each other, but then not be fully transparent?
I mean, sure, everyone has their rights to their own secrets. Everyone should have a secret of some kind or something they keep to themselves, because then if you give everything else away to everyone else, what do you have left for yourself? Sure, but when you're family like that, you don't lead each other on. You don't lie to each other about feelings.
But when it directly affects somebody in the relationship, you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate how Rhys is like, but Azriel needs to decide whether or not he's going to tell her or let her go. I'm hoping on the let go option. Also, Cassian needs to stop being a damn buffer.
Yeah.
He needs to get with his own lady at the moment so that he can stop being that fucking buffer. Also, I love how they suspect that Cassian and Nesta are mates, but Rhys is like, well, until the bond snaps into place, we don't know. They have to be.
Gotta be. Even Rhys, thinks about it. Even Rhys just thinks that it's there. He thinks the bond is there. Although, I will say, right before that, he's just like, he has a wry smile, and he's like, well, Cassian's gonna have to decide very soon. In the near future about some things.
Oh yeah, the very near future. But again, even though they're dealing with everybody else's relationships, we love a soft moment with a face and Tamlin still loves you. Yeah, it's because that's why it went so poorly. I love how she says she's proud of what Rhys-San did for being so strong and telling everybody everything, even though it hurt him a lot.
And he's like, even he thought he'd vomit.
I don't have words to tell you what that means. She never told him that she looked for his mom and sister's wings till now. Because again, they've been so on the go that she never really got the chance to say that. But I do think that Tamlin's telling the truth. I think he burned them. And Rhys is happy that he burned them as well. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's because they've been having so much sex, but there's a level of she has to clarify that, hey, I don't really feel comfortable doing it tonight because I don't want to do it with him under the same roof. It's like,
you don't need to have sex every night. It's fine.
Also, the fact that she feels like she needs to apologize for that.
And even more on that, she kind of like comes in like afterwards saying, you know, after like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with this, but I do still want to share a bed with you, as if he wouldn't share a bed just because they weren't gonna fuck.
Like, yeah, because I guess like she maybe thought that was like, again, because that's from her previous we're still having these moments of the previous relationship having a scar on her. Because I don't really think that they slept together if they weren't, her and Tamlin, I mean, I'm playing the pronoun game. Her and Tamlin did not sleep together if they weren't fucking. Is this really their first night being in the bed together but not doing something sexual? That'd be wild. I don't know.
I mean, kind of if you think about it, from what we've heard.
It has been...
Obviously, it doesn't seem like every night, but it's probably been like one of them helping the other at least.
Yes. But also, I think after today, I think it's one of those things where we don't really have to say it. We're not fucking tonight. I think that's very... You don't need to communicate that, babe. Also, but thank you for...
I mean, after that whole conversation that they had, that whole disaster, and everything that Tamlin said, I mean, if I were in a situation where I was in a place like with my partner and an ex, I mean, maybe if I was feeling slightly brave, I'd risk doing something, but most of the time it's like, no, I don't want to fuck while my ex is under the same roof. I totally get the feeling of that.
It's just so awkward.
That's just awkward.
We said the same thing. That's obviously the end of the chapter. They end with always.
A repeated always.
And a repeated always. I was so excited to talk about these chapters because not only do we learn so much about the High Lords, which it's one of those things in a TV show where like we've been talking about these people constantly, but we haven't seen them since season 1. And even then we didn't really know them too well. We just got like a literal crash course about the history between the drama between the High Lords. And it's so much so that I feel like that's why this isn't the end of the book series. Like, again, like I said, this was going to be the last book. There's no way that Sarah could have done that.
It will be the kind of thing of like, you know, back under the mountain, Feyre didn't learn their names.
No.
Like, literally, she just knew Tamlin. And then, yeah, sure, we got Tarquin in the last book. But it is kind of the case of like, on the opposite side, you know how we say that if Sarah gives us a name, that they're probably coming back. So it kind of was like a curveball of, oh, they're back. I mean, obviously, they're High Lords, so we probably would have seen them again. But I wasn't expecting in this manner. And I wasn't expecting like Gillian and Callias and Vivian like to come join them for dinner. So it was like just, oh, they're back. Characters that I haven't seen in forever. They're back. And oh, they're actually kind of funny and stupid and funny.
It made me feel so many emotions at once of the pure anger, wrath, but also, comedy and a little bit of awkwardness and very much cringe. I don't feel like I felt so many emotions in a few chapters than this one.
It's like an old sitcom.
This is such an iconic thing in the book talk world. Like, you talk about the High Lords meeting, everybody knows what you're talking about. And it's very iconic, so I'm glad we got it eventually here. So I'm really happy about that. That's the end of our deep dive section.
It was a wonderful deep dive. And now we're going to move on to Tabby's favorite part. One of her favorite parts of the two. We are going to talk about the graphic audio. Take it away.
This is why I full-blown belly laughed. I mean, I laughed when reading this, but the graphic audio, again, I say this every fucking episode, but I will say, every time it just does better and better each episode.
It improves.
So if we go back, top of chapter 41, again, there's this eerie music over the planning of the Lords meeting. There's a very eerie music at the top because they don't really know how this is going to go. Characters, so...
And everyone's like this, so it makes sense.
It's setting the scene very well. So then I think the next moment was John Cassian stuttering over complimenting Feyre was hilarious. It was like, yeah, you look, It was just funny. I was like, John, such a sweetheart.
Cassian very well.
I love the music during the crowning. Oh, so like when it says when Melody, Feyre monologues about how Rhysand always crowned her even under the mountain. There is like that line or whatever had that very epic music they use over and over again when this epic, I'm understanding it now all of a sudden.
A huge revelation.
Yes, the revelation music is what we call it. I also love the audio effects on the memory because again, it's trying to show somebody who's listening to it on audio that this is different than it was. This is in the past. So there's a level that there's like reverb on it.
Right, a little echo.
And so that was very sweet. Again, also so I think it was when Moore said, and that's how you compliment a woman, Cassian, or whatever she said. Again, graphic audio does a good thing of adding lines that not necessarily were in the text, but just they're implied. And so, like, John starts grumbling, and he's like, like, whatever. He starts grumbling. It's like, it's okay, babe. You'll get your time to compliment.
You'll have practice.
Honestly, I don't know about you, but if you got a genuine compliment and a romantic way from Cassian, I feel like I'd die.
If he gave it to you,
well,
or if we just saw it in general?
Obviously, if we see it in general, but of course to me, for sure.
True. Okay, that's valid, though.
So then moving on to chapter 42, Natalie freaking rocked this scene. I mean, she always does as Nesta, but I really appreciated her during this because she showed another side to Nesta that we don't normally see, like when she stutters and avoids, and she's very quiet and contemplative. Like, oh, okay.
It's like, okay, she kind of let her walls down a little bit.
I also love the Rhys and Nesta bonding, where like she's actually joking with him and she smiles to him about like the paying for my services and whatever.
Yep.
And then the sexual tension between Nesta and Cassian. Dear God, John and Natalie do such a great job of this. And dear God, John. Because Natalie and Nesta goes from this very stoic, I don't want to be a coward, to very angry all of a sudden. Like, you didn't! And then the deepness of the tone that John had when saying, I'll come say hello, emissary. I'm like... I was like, okay, like, let's move on.
Like, ooh, John.
I was like, that's not okay, sir. Then I loved the music when they described Dawn, when Melody was monologuing, when they were walking through the Dawn court. It was a very different music than we'd ever heard before, and I loved how they set it apart from some of the other music. Like, summer had its own music, night has its own music, spring had its own music. It seemed like it had its own genre.
Which I thought, that.
Yeah. The level of detail that, like, Liesl and I love about the music just makes us so happy.
Yes. I love that someone out there focuses on it.
Right. And then lastly, in that chapter, when like, oh God, Anthony Rhysand with his whole, like, I guess you're going to be wearing that crown only to bed. I'm like, God damn, because okay. It's because he goes from one way to the other. Like, he was being so cute and he's just being like, oh, do you want this in our house, Feyre darling? Like, about the architecture. And then all of a sudden too, guess what? You're going to be wearing that crown only tonight. It's like, give me a fucking minute.
Honestly, that's Rhys's like whole thing, though. That's how he deals with his nerves, as we said earlier.
I know.
He's constantly switching to it, but Anthony does the switch so seamlessly.
Why does he have to do it so good? Why does he have to be like exactly like Rhysand? Why? Oh God. We are their biggest fans. I'm gonna say that on camera. We are their biggest fans. I love them.
I'm a huge fan, but Tabi is like number one.
Yeah. And to give Liesl credit, Liesl is the biggest BTS fan of us. Again, I love them too. Yes. But no, I am the number one Sarah graphic audio fan, for sure. So then we move into chapter 43 as they make their way into the meeting. The elegance of the music as they're walking in is so very Dawn. And that's the only thing I could say. It totally gave me Dawn vibes, and there's not really a good way for me to say that I can't explain it.
Peaceful, kind of new.
Yeah. Very like Twilight-y vibes.
Twilight like the time, or Twilight like the movie?
Twilight is in a time between times.
Okay, just double checking. That's what I thought you meant, but I figured I'd check.
Like a transition time.
Yeah.
Hearing all the High Lords was awesome. Like, hearing all their voices finally together was, I mean, everybody sounded so spot on. I can't tell you exactly who was who because, of course, Liesl said before. The cast list doesn't tell us who's who. So, honestly, I know some of them because I've heard them in other graphic audios. So, I will tell you guys who I know who's who. But overall, they were all awesome. I love love the moment of music and squeal from Morn to Vivian, because the transition between this very stoic sound to all of a sudden this very girly, flowery music, and then her squealing, was just such a tonal shift change. Honestly, broke the tension of the music to open it up more.
Yeah.
Also, give props to Callius's voice actor. He hits the I don't give a fuck energy, but also the comedic timing that he has. It made me better explain how I think that he's one of those people who just, like, will say stuff not even to be funny, but that just comes across as funny.
And then gets slightly confused why everyone's laughing. Like, I was being completely serious.
But there's a sort of, oh, everybody's laughing. I did something
funny, I guess.
Girl, I know too many of these graphic audios. So to let the audience know, I listened to so I got into graphic from the ACOTAR series. But ever since then, I've listened to other ones. And so listening back to this one, anybody who knows the Fourth Wing, Helion Spellcleaver is Brennan in that book series. And let me tell you what, I have a huge crush on Brennan's voice actor. He's two other characters in the SJM series. And
do you know his name?
I'd have to look it up. I actually don't know what his name is. So yes, but again, for any of those who know the graphic audios as much as I do, yes, he's in Fourth Wing. I love the commentary between Viv and Moore. It just made it seem so much more funny to me and so much more heartening. So they just played their voices well. I just appreciate how they even cast, Vivian, even though she's not like a huge role, she was cast perfectly.
Yeah.
I also appreciate the I wrecked one building. All you just hear is Cassian's voice like come into a memory.
That's funny.
And it was so hilarious. I loved it to death. And then, dude, the music of Tamlin's entrance and the lightning was dope as hell.
Did it have a crash, a thunder crash?
Yes, it did. So so Reese gets interrupted, and then there's just a crash of lightning, and then there's this very Dracula-esque music of Tamlin coming in, and the doors swinging open, and it's just so cool.
Well, we gotta at least give him that. He can have an epic entrance, too.
Yeah, because all he can do is scary entrances, I guess.
Clearly.
Like, honestly, it felt right out of a Dracula movie. I'm not gonna lie. It was
like the flash behind, like the silhouette.
Yeah, it totally gave me those vibes. Also, again, we haven't heard Henry's voice in a while, but I gotta say, hot damn. Okay, I'm not saying that's... Okay, hear me out. Okay, so... I just have a thing for deep voiced men. Now, I hate what he's saying, but the first thing he says, I hear that congratulations are in order. The deepness of the tone and the deepness of the fuck you energy, I was just like, I know I'm supposed to hate him.
That was wonderful.
Thank
just the
you.
whole like hand on the ear, just like.
That's how I like try to interpret Henry. That's my Henry interpretation.
He'll be happy to hear that.
Oh, but it scared me hella. But I was also a little turned on. I don't know. I don't know. I had so many mixed emotions that I wasn't sure which one was which. Pulling all the stops with the sex line. I mean, we talked about this scene in his interview, and like he went all out, man. He did not give a fuck. The wrath and loathing in his tone when he's like saying those like gross, cringy sex lines is wild. And of course, then more spitting at Tamlin, shut up, was really good. I laughed my whole ass off when like I knew it was coming and I still was taken blindsided when Tamlin snarls at Nesta and then John just one-ups the with like just a like big ass snarl, and I'm like, why is it okay, tell me this. Why is it that John can snarl at me and somehow that doesn't scare me, or that's not weird, or that's not anything? I'm still like, oh yeah, you're hot, babe. Like, why is that? What is wrong with me?
Because you know that Cassian is a sweetheart. And you know he's a protective sweetheart. And also you're completely turned on by him.
That's totally me projecting too in that scenario. Also, the way, so at the end of that chapter specifically, the way that Rhysand and the music when Rhys takes away Tamlin's voice is such a comedic sound. I don't know how to say it, but it was almost like a wah, wah, wah. Like honestly, it totally gave me that comedic sound bite of not everybody really noticing it at first, and then it being like, oh shit, and then it turns. I love this, because again, chapter 44 and chapter 45 kind of go into each other. The pure dead silence at the top of the chapter, all you hear is the water moving, because Rhys shut up Tamlin and nobody else is talking. And
that's a nice addition, a nice detail.
it was so good. I was like, oh yeah, the reflection pool. I realized that they're sitting across from each other. So then, of course, in it, chapter 55, the sound of Azriel attacking Eris was so cool. The snarl that came out of Sean to him hearing the fight. Yeah, no, be prepared. To just Eris getting the shit kicked out of him. And then when Feyre comes down the steps, it's very Lord of the Ring-esque music. And it's very fantasy. That's all I can say. It's very Fae. So then, of course, I will say, I'll give props to the guy who does Baron. He does the dick move really well. His voice is aggravating. And not even a sexy Eris way, too. It's just grating.
That's annoying. Good, because he shouldn't be sexy.
Well, yeah, I can say a lot of these characters are sexy, but not him. There was specifically a line that I didn't say in the deep dive. So when Tamlin is talking about those villages that Feyre wanted to protect, says they're nothing more than cinders now. The depth of voice that Henry went with that is like, they're nothing more than cinders now. And I'm like,
He's dropping a couple octaves.
Yeah, he dropped like all the octaves. I was just, where is your voice at?
Like, how can I scare you with how deep your voice is?
I know, right? I love how then near the end of the chapter, when Baron and her start fighting with each other, the freaking music building up as Feyre's anger rises is amazing. Then, especially as it starts to get to the end where she's getting angry, she hears her own heartbeat and breathing. She's kind of like... And
that
then
definitely does like movie moment of when that one moment when all other sounds stop and you just hear the breathing.
And then all of a sudden, just fireball. All you hear is the sound.
Fireball.
Ooh, okay. And then, of course, chapter 46. Oh my god. Anthony. Oh my god. So cute in his attempts. He's like, Feyre. And then, I love you. Nothing that man could say could hurt us. I was like, oh. Like, I felt like he was in front of my face. I was like, oh.
Like in front of you, just gripping your face.
It was so intimate. I was okay. Maybe, I was simmering. Maybe, it'll be okay.
I feel like that in itself, though, obviously, sorry, I guess I meant to say this earlier in the deep dive section, but that whole act of, how Feyre said that she thought that her explosion was what tore apart the alliance or whatever. She's like, yeah, that fast, this alliance fell apart. No, I think actually Rhys said it did help because they saw that, one, that she had power, and two, because she was willing with her power, putting herself in risk. And then on top of that, Rhys actually like focusing on her and focusing on calming her down rather than making some snide comment about how it's like, that's funny how Baron's like suffering right there. No, he just went straight to like, hey, it's okay, using pet names and everything. Like, it's okay, my love. I think that is what helped them actually see that Rhys was more genuine about if they were on the edge.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. But, I mean, I will give props to Melody for her just being just like, I'll fucking kill him. It's like, okay, girl, I get it. Like, it was palpable for sure. And then of course Natalie, Nesta's monologue, I feel like she should get an Oscar for like every fucking monologue she has, because it's just such a range of starting, like she builds up so well of her starting from a place and then just building up to be just, well, why won't you defend it now? And it's like really, really good. And then of course countering that, Feyre's monologue with the music and with her very confident nature. It's like, I feel like it's the most confident we've ever seen Melody's voice. Then of course, chapter 47. I love how at the top when she says that Tamlin got led away first, she went, good. I was like, it made me laugh for some reason. I was just like, she's like, good riddance.
She's like, doesn't want to be in the room with him anymore.
Good God, for good reason. Again, I love Vivian, man. She's great. She's just like, we're gonna fight side by side again. So happy. So I didn't notice this until literally the end of the section, so I didn't mention it, but I wanted to say, so every time during the text when it says that Feyre's dress moved and she heard the sounds of the sparkles move, you actually hear it. So like when she's descending the stairs to get Azriel to stop, all you hear is this very silent, you hear just Eris choking and then Feyre's dress going down.
Such a wonderful combination of sounds.
Right. I will say, I said this earlier, but okay, Killian Brennan's voice is hot as hell. God damn it, another hot boy voice with a low tone. This is not okay. God damn it. If
You're suffering in the best way possible.
Yeah. So if any of you like low Boyd voices, then here's the graphic audio for you.
Or on the other side, reach out to her and give her the voices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, Anthony's laugh. Oh my god. Okay, Anthony's laugh sometimes will actually his genuine laugh will get me to tears.
Mm-hmm.
He has such a beautiful laugh, and I was
He
like,
does.
and the subsequent flirting is just him, and then you heard the kisses on her cheek, and he's just like, "Do you want someone in our bed, Feyre?" And I'm like. He is so beautiful, and it's so great, and he plays it so well.
Anthony's a sweetheart.
And then, so this wasn't really scripted, but so when Nesta comes up and says, "I don't care," yeah, she hits it hard.
Shocked
and then
the shit out of him.
hearing Cassian laughing was also hot as hell, because there was a level, I don't think he meant to actually laugh out loud. It's almost like he pushed it out. He was like, and it was funny as hell. I really appreciated it. Also, side note, when it's nearing the end of the chapter and when they hear Mor and Helion laughing, it totally made me feel we're in a hotel room and hearing this very typical hotel room sound of oh yeah, we know they're going to do it.
I mean, they were left sitting knee to knee on the couch, so that makes sense. I totally understand the feeling though of the hearing from inside a hotel room.
Though I will say, Helion slowly made his way over to that couch, because he was sitting across from her at first, and then he slowly made his way over there. And then of course the end of the chapters. I love Soft Boy Anthony the best. He just is I felt like I was gonna throw up. You don't understand how much that means to me that you say you're proud of me. And I'm like, oh,
When
baby.
was the last time someone told him that so they were proud of him?
Probably never. It just made it so much more powerful. And he's just like, babe, you don't need to apologize to me. Always. Oh, and because they ended up cuddling at the end, the second always was covered up by the wings. So there was a level of he's cocooning her in the wings. And so there's a muted sound over the always.
Always. Always.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just you're in my ear, babe.
You.
So yeah, graphic audio, please God, it kills me every time we talk about it. I so love talking about these moments because they actually, it's so subtle, but I love listening to them every time. That's why I'll just listen back when I'm just on my downtime and I just want something to listen to.
They're very heartwarming. Most of the time. Sometimes they're body warming.
Yeah, and then I can't listen to it while I'm at work. Because I'll just be giggling up a storm. Because Liesl knows the difference, my sexy, funny laugh, because I'm listening to a sex scene, and my laugh where I'm actually just laughing at just something that's funny.
Her laughs are very distinct. And she's laughing now because she knows it's true.
Yeah, because she knows me so much now that if I am talking about a sex scene, I'm just like...
It's so funny though. I think everyone has distinct laughs, but some are more distinct than others. It's funny because sometimes we could just be on a call or something talking about whatever, and then all of a sudden I'll just hear that laugh, and I'm like, oh, okay. So
it's where are we? Who are we thinking about?
Who's on your mind?
It's okay. Just randomly thinking about Cassian for no reason.
Yes, you do. I mean, he's a character. You're supposed to think about him,
right? So, I mean, yeah, that's the end of my graphic audio. Do you have anything else to say?
No, you covered it really well. I definitely enjoyed all of the drama, even in the times that I've read the High Lords meeting, and now talking about it again. It's so dramatic and so ridiculously stupid, but at the same time so wonderful with so much lore.
Oh yeah, so much lore, but also so much fun at the same time. So yeah, we will be going through. So next week we will be going over chapters 48 to the end of 55. So we will see the aftermath of this High Lord scene and see if we can end the war before it happens, which probably not. Because they drugged so much. Yeah, they drugged so much ass. So this is gonna be. So yeah, again. So if you guys, like our content, please follow our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, please. That's the best way of supporting us. And also, please review. It only takes a few seconds to, review our podcast on whatever streaming platform that you're listening to. And then again, if you want our exclusive content, we have our Patreon system up. The High Fae and the Inner Circle, only at $3 a month, $5 a month. Early access.
Or join us for free.
Yes, like Lisa said, join us for free as well, because we have the Discord for free and like polls and stuff like that with trivia questions. So we'll also have early access audios, early video access, and we're trying to add some more stuff. So please follow us there if you feel like you can, if you want to follow support us more. So yeah, do you want to say anything to the people before we leave?
Just please come and hang out with us. You know, we're chatting on our Patreon, we're chatting on Discord. We would love to talk with you guys and either hear your feedback or literally just talk about the book. So definitely please reach out to us.
Let's make a bop in Discord, okay?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't bite. We're friendly.
Not unless you want us to.
We may even have Cassian. I don't know.
And ladies and gentlemen.
With how much Tabi talks about Cassian, honestly, I'm surprised we haven't summoned him yet.
If we have a chance to talk to John, I think I might combust. I mean, it was hard to talk to any of them, but specifically to Anthony, Gabriel, Henry. I love Melody. I'm also straight, so there's a level of like guy deep voice that I like really love. But
one day we will talk to John.
One day, so we'll see you guys all in the next episode. So we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.